Major Cider. Calling Major Cider. This is O.R.C.A. We are letting you know that you're going to be late. You'd better get hurry on, or else the captain's going to find out that you took his fighter.
Yeah, I'm on my way. And don't tell Captain S I took his fighter. Salute to you, 01 Legion. Welcome to the Major's Briefing Room. You'll notice this flickering background of mine is actually doing something occasionally. But yes, welcome to the Briefing Room. You'll note that we've started a little earlier this evening, and hopefully my audio is coming through, because everything possible that could go wrong has gone wrong this evening. I've even forgot to put on my headphones. It's not like there's anybody to talk to anyway. But this is where we're at right now. Sorry this is so late, but we're still working out this stuff right here in the background and whatnot. This will look a little more real a little while, but bear with me. We're totally aboard the O.R.C.A right now. You bet. We're totally aboard the O.R.C.A right now. But thank you all for showing up for this a little early this evening. We have RJ McReady here. He says, like it or no H-Wood, Mad Max is still the draw. It's true. Max is still why people want to watch the movies. I mean, that's the whole reason how they marketed Fury Road, remember? It was intended to be a continuation, or at least maybe a side story, I guess, of Max's. And, well, it just kind of turned into a chase movie about sex slaves. Anyway, we got Arvita here. And Arvita says, hail. Well, hail to you, too. Welcome aboard. As I said, we're having technical hiccups. Everything that could go wrong, it went wrong. But we got it through today. And yeah, welcome aboard, Dante Arix. Arix, I believe I said that right. Welcome aboard. Yeah, welcome. Evening. Evening to you too. Yeah. How gay is Mav this week? I don't know. You have to wait till it gets here a little bit later. As I said, we're starting a little early in the Majors briefing room. But we'll move on to the full-on 0-1 when everybody's ready to go in the back here. But for now, you're stuck with me. And I wanted to talk to you guys about this George Lucas situation we've got going on right here. As you've noticed right here, he says he's talking about this, that people accuse the Star Wars films of being racist and misogynist. And in reality, as he explains, the idea is that all people are equal in this. And one of the things that brought my attention to this article was that this is when he was over at the Canes. He was saying a bunch of stuff, and they asked him if he was going to come back and do Star Wars stuff, and without flinching, he's like, "No, no, it's not going to happen." So, but what I wanted to attract your attention to is this idea that somehow Star Wars is racist and misogynist. I don't know how you can do that. It's like Star Trek. They're different people of different alien races. How can you be racist and misogynist in a reality where these beings exist and otherwise hold power over humans, over male humans, female humans? I mean, the Emperor just happened to be human because that's what George Lucas wanted to write about, right? He wanted to tell the story of humans overcoming their challenge. I'm sure if he was, a quart and a half shy, he probably would have done the Jar Jars saving the day, the Gungas as they're known, right? Saving the day. But I don't know. What do you guys think about this? Do you think that George Lucas is right that this is an idea that all people are equal, or is he kind of like stretching the definition with this stuff? I asked myself about this a lot before making videos. I decided not to go this route because Star Wars is dead, guys. I don't know if you noticed or not, but it's dead. Like nobody wants to hear about it anymore. Nobody cares. It's the Acolyte came out, and apparently it's going to be a musical, some kind of West Side Story told with lightsabers and the Force, male or female. But that's nobody cares anymore. They just don't. But I had this curiosity about George Lucas and what was going on with him. So what do you guys think about it? We'll get down into the article and see a few of his quotes on this. Good old Luke here. But he's at 2024 Cannes Film Festival is where he recorded all this. That's over in France. Funny talking Frenchie's got a chance to talk to good old George Lucas. And he says this. He said they would say it's all white men. Most people are aliens. Most of the people are aliens. And again, like no, Lando's part of this. We had several different cast members. We had the Asian X-wing fighter pilot there, the X-wing pilot, and he came back for the Mandalorian show, Ahsoka, one of the two, where they were like, "Hey, do you remember when?" And they brought back that guy, and so no, it's diverse. Again, it's aliens. I mean, the majority of characters we saw on the screen that weren't the lead characters were not human. I mean, Chewbacca, C-3PO, and R2-D2 are, three of the six adventurers involved that aren't human. And I'm not sure C-3PO even identifies as male. But yeah. Like I said, though, it just doesn't inspire a lot of conversation with people anymore. They're just not interested in Star Wars. But it is what it is, right? It is what it is. And unfortunately, that's the end of like a cultural touchstone, if you will. Like for a while, Star Wars was sort of the defining American cinema, and I guess today it's the MCU and all the mistakes that it's made. I mean, even now they're admitting they have no future for Doctor Strange. I mean, this is kind of brutal, right? I did a video about this before the stream here, but this is kind of brutal to sit here and admit that Doctor Strange has no future in the MCU. And that's the truth, because even Benedict Cumberbatch says right here, he says, I know as little as you do about the future of the character. Most of this is his interview about his new series on Netflix called Eric. So it's not really, this is the takeaway right here, is that he does not know the future of Doctor Strange. This is the lead actor of the franchise, and they don't know what to do with him. Now, I pointed out it's because they can't make a profit with him while obeying the BlackRock DEI requirements. And I believe that's the reason why they can't bring him through, because now more than ever, you have all the technology necessary to create like a worthwhile, I don't know, an actual visual extravaganza of a Doctor Strange movie. And the best we could do was like a platformer video game about pizza balls. Doctor Strange Mom, that had nothing to do with Doctor Strange. You know, it should have been the Grim Adventures of Steve and Wanda, you know? Get that actor from the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy to come back to play the Grim Reaper. It's already a better show than what we got in WandaVision, and whatever the hell Agatha's going to be. But that's what we're looking at with this, is the MCU itself is starting to circle the drain. Remember a few months ago, Anthony Mackie mentioned that the MCU is out of creativity, that Stan and the writers at Marvel through the 60s and 70s just cleaned out all the good ideas, and so the MCU just can't produce anything. Now, you and I both know why that is. That's because of the royalties, right? That's because they don't want to pay the royalties to the people who actually created this material. Not that they don't want to go and make the comics, go and make the comic stories. There's storyboards for them. They don't even have to do storyboards. The camera angles are there. The action choreography is there. All of it's there. But the thing is they'd have to pay royalties, not just to the writer, but also I believe the whole creative team. I think the letterer might be the only person that gets out of this. Even the colorist probably gets royalties, you know? But that's really sad about Doctor Strange, in my opinion. DK says, I look forward to my state's Comic-Con to continue having the original trilogy as the main Star Wars theme, like always, for years to come. One can only hope that they don't get wise to Baby Yoda, right? And start theming everything off of that. We got Meteor Advocate Timon, member of the channel, by the way. Welcome aboard, crew member. Hey, yo, what's happening? Oh, well, this is a little bit of early thing. This is the Major's briefing room. I'm a half an hour late. I was hanging out with Asteroids. They had to ring me up, and then, you know, it took a little while to get here. You should check out the intro. It's a little rocky, but I'm working on it. It'll be better. Don't worry. Janet from Another Planet says, hey, they want to kill all of the Marvel characters. Yeah, and not even in like the fun way, right? Not even in like the Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe kind of way. It's literally like they just want to reduce all interest possible in superheroes and characters that inspire any type of aspirational change in your life. I mean, consider this. Flash Gordon is a property that likely belongs mostly to the public domain now. The same with characters that populated the serials at that time. Yet Hollywood's made no effort to resurrect a character like Flash Gordon, which is practically a blank slate for a writer these days. Instead, they're going after things like Barbarella. Now, I'm a huge fan of Barbarella. I've said that all the time on this channel. Barbarella is my favorite movie ever, but it is terrible. It is a gosh awful movie, 1000%. I'm not even going to try and convince you that Jane Fonda did any kind of acting in that movie. The reason why I love it is how ridiculous, over the top, and stupid the movie is. For goodness sake, this space spy rides around in a shag carpet lined spaceship. She sleeps on saran wrap, you know? She salutes with love, you know? Just, come on. Flash Gordon, you pass up on Flash Gordon? For Barbarella, we know where you're going. We know what you're thinking. It's not about aspiration. It's not about the future. It's not about even building a franchise at this point. It's about the message. And that's why Doctor Strange isn't allowed to flourish, to exist, to be the good guy. See, I wondered this. I was like, you know, it can't be that he's too OP to be part of the endgame battle. That doesn't make sense. It can't be that he's too much for Thanos along with the other Avengers. So they made him a lifeguard holding back that water. Like, ask yourself, he's the Sorcerer Supreme. He just freezes that water, changes it into rock, winds time backwards with a spell that's not the Time Stone related. He's the Sorcerer Supreme. Water is what bests him for the duration of the biggest battle in Earth's history? Come on. But then it got worse when they went with Doctor Strangemom, because they further sidelined this character into a position where he doesn't even get to play a dad character to America Chavez. Because if he got to do that, that would mean that her lesbian parents are some way inadequate to her, even though they're dead. But that's where you're at. That's what you're looking at with Doctor Strange. He suffers the penalty of BlackRock's institution, even though this character would flourish right now. You remember in the 80s, like all of this mystical, magical mumbo jumbo they were doing with Hollywood movies. One particular comes to mind, The Labyrinth with David Bowie. Now ask yourself, if they did a callback to The Labyrinth, not necessarily a one-to-one, but let's say that for however it happens, Doctor Strange ends up trapped in a labyrinth run by, one of those stupid, sexy goblin kings, right? Stupid, sexy, like stupid, sexy Flanders, you know? You're not supposed to be pretty, you're a goblin king kind of scenarios, like David Bowie. I'm sure there's an actor out there that can fill the role of flamboyantly androgynous, I guess. But, and then again, Doctor Strange has to rescue a princess that he doesn't know. Don't even make it a Marvel character he has to go rescue. Just make it a character he has to go rescue. Some random girl that got swallowed up into this labyrinth. It doesn't have to be someone special or meaningful to the MCU. It probably would be better if it was just a random person. And there again, Doctor Strange has to find his way through this labyrinth, do battle with the Goblin King, and also purify the heart of the girl that fell into this place to begin with. That sounds like a fun story to me. That sounds interesting. That sounds like it's in keeping with the Sorcerer Supreme's duties. Not babysitting a pizza ball addict. Okay? I don't know, it felt like Babysitter's Club, but like multi-dimensional Babysitter's Club. I'm not sure. But that's where we're at. That's what you're looking at with these characters is Doctor Strange has been put out to pasture. Iron Man's been put out to pasture. Captain America, Steve Rogers has been put out to pasture, and they're still doing rewrites on Captain America Strange New World. Or what is it? Brave New World. That's right. There's so many new worlds out there. Ask yourself, how many times are they going to say that to us before we start to ask, is there a new world coming? Right? It's always been interesting to me about what exactly the message is that Bob Iger and the rest of these Disney flunkies are trying to push on all of us. But honestly, I've never been really able to pin it down exactly because, again, it's too easy to say that they're following BlackRock's public write-up, public goals, right? It's too easy to sit here and say that this is Disney's goal. Sorry, I keep bumping into this. This is Disney's goal to push BlackRock's agenda. I believe that Bob Iger has his own. Bob Chapek did. They're doing battle with Florida. And meanwhile, your superheroes, the children that you wanted your children to grow up with, by the way. And I'm not saying Doctor Strange is some character that you need to, like, bring your kids on. He's a very guilt-ridden, repentant character. Very, by any means necessary kind of guy. And I don't recommend that to, like, for children. But if you're just getting into like the character as an adult, Doctor Strange has a lot of resonance of a man that made mistakes, lost his destiny, fell out of his place in the sun, and then fought to get it back. I don't know too many men that can't resonate with that. But yet they're not going to tell that story. They want to tell you the story of a bald lady monk that turned all of expectations in the world on their head and shattered all of the cosmic glass ceilings because that needs to be done. Apparently. Still. Whoa, you are all like wrong mic. That is a lot of like all the noise in the room and no noise from Jacob, right? Yeah, no, it's just an early stream. We decided to do like this hour early thing to kind of review the news that we weren't going to get into during the show. So this is just the Majors briefing room. This is why I'm in a different location, why I keep bumping into this mic. I'm in a different spot in my office. I am completely not with the wall here. And this, I have to finally tune this television to be a backdrop. But we're getting there. We're getting there. And oh, we lost Jacob. Okay. All right. Well, hopefully he comes back. I'm today's in today's narcissistic world, Doctor Strange might speak to some kids. Well, again, I mean, like, he is a repentant character, and Lord knows we need quite a bit of shame around here. But here to shame us is Jacob, and he's still pulling from the wrong mic source.
Who in the cinnamon toast blue hell told you to start the show early?
Jay, there we go. All right, we got the background noise trimmed out. Here we go. Spencer. Spencer was like, "Hey, we have a lot of stuff that we should talk about, so just do a show beforehand, get everybody warmed up." And here I am.
So is this the warm up portion? So if this is like a WWE pay per view from the '90s, is this like the 30-minute like pre show that really gets you to buy into the pay per view?
I hope so.
Are you our Michael Hayes? Well, with a
Uh,
little less racism.
less, yeah, I was gonna say like less racist Michael Hayes because I was yeah, I keep mixing up Michael Hayes and Michael Vick. Too many Michaels in sports, you see. So
Yeah, well, one of them maimed dogs, and the other one may or may not have said the N word a few times in his life. So
a few times.
this is a
Yeah,
dark match.
it is. It's kind of like a pregame. Yeah, it's a dark match. Yeah. Well, see, this is what it is. Is I made this intro and stuff like that, and so this is meant to be a better background, but I got to work on the saturation level of the screen. But I flew a ship into here, Jacob. I flew a jet in.
You didn't crash it, did you? Like,
Not yet.
So there's been like no space 9/11 yet.
No.
Okay, well,
And
I guess
in
we're okay
case
for now.
anyone's wondering, hopefully.
Is that how we beat Swift Fu? We just like fly a plane into like her building, and is that how it works?
Well, spoilers. But yeah, the helmet's real. It's real.
Oh, sweet! You actually got. Oh yeah, you remember you chose the helmet.
Yeah, it's real. What you saw me
Does it,
wearing
like,
in the intro. Yeah.
it pops open and it fits perfectly, right?
Yeah. I gotta shut my camera off. Look kind of graceful putting it on, but yeah, I'll put it on. Give me a second.
Oh boy, here we go.
Hopefully it doesn't disintegrate.
Don't worry, guys. If you hear any screaming or pain coming from the other side, I'm pretty sure he's okay. Or if he's not, I mean, hey, it's no big deal. We got a lot of people on the show. So how are you guys doing tonight for this very, very early portion of the show that no one told me about? Oh boy, that didn't sound good. He's gonna come back on screen like gasping for air. Oh, there he is. Hey, how's it going? Can you breathe? Can't breathe. Okay, well at least you can hear. So I mean there's fine. I mean you probably have like 40 seconds left before you pass out. So I don't know. Maybe you should, maybe take that off. Damn it. Yeah. There you go. Cider's dead. Oh, it was a good run. He had a couple of good. Oh crap! His soul's coming back to his body now.
I have no idea how those springy Japanese guys wear those things in tropic weather.
Mm-hmm.
Holy
and
hell.
do ninja stuff in them too.
Yeah, right. And like explosions.
20-hour shoot days.
Yeah, right. Like, my goodness, no wonder they're wire thin. They just sweat it off.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
You're all right over there?
I'm gonna
feel
die.
Feel like you were almost dearly departed there for a second.
Yeah, man, I got like jerkied inside that helmet. Of course, there's also a mess of paint fumes in there and glue fumes, so I'm sure that's not helping my feeling.
It's only a matter of time before somebody makes a George Floyd Power Rangers parody that he's just a Black Ranger inside the mask saying I can't breathe.
So I did buy this off Etsy for the intention of making my own Power Rangers series, but now I found my old 3D printer, so I don't need that anymore. So I decided to retrofit it for bounding, and that's the helmet that I just showed you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to make more with it. Don't worry, this isn't the last you're going to see of the helmet. This is just what I can make use of today, as I'm making the intro hours before it's supposed to go live. Prep time.
It's a great time to test out the airflow of your masks when we're live on the show.
Yeah, I gotta work on that. See, they make these paintball fans that are meant to go in like the back of the thing, but like it's not made for those. So I gotta cut holes in the back and then fit those through, and then get the battery pack down in my pocket. So
he's like, how do you breathe during this? And they're like, breathe. It's like,
yeah, right. Consider it. You don't want to with all those chemicals in there. You really don't
Yeah.
want to breathe it. I forgot I don't have my headphones. There we go. That's better. Now I can hear you. Weird.
Yep.
But
It's weird how that happened.
Snake says it's crazy how Kevin Feige turned out to be a case of the emperor has no clothes. What do you know, right? He's good at writing, good at putting together 10 years of fan fiction, and after that,
I feel like we're gonna have to talk about. I'm not sure. I just joined here, but we're gonna have to talk about the current Blade update again later on in the show because man, like what is Marvel gonna do after Deadpool? Because it's like there's nothing to look forward to like whatsoever. Like Captain America 4, the aka Black Cap, is on its third reshoot now in the course of like the last year. So like it was supposed to be out like by like a month from now. It's already on like its second string of reshoots.
nope, it was supposed to be open at the beginning of this month because McDonald's had a huge release for it at the beginning of May.
Well, no, I think it was supposed to come out in June. They'll usually do those promotions like well in advance so that they can capitalize on it like leading up to it. But I believe it was originally supposed to come out this month. But then again, it's been pushed back so many times up to this point. I mean, I don't think like who knows like what point. It's almost like Captain Marvel. Like Captain Marvel or Captain Marvel 2, I should say, was delayed like 5 times before they finally like released it. And I don't even know what the release date is. Oh, here we go. So it was originally scheduled for May 3rd of this year. So it was supposed to be out like several weeks ago. And then it got delayed to July 26th. And now it's been delayed for a third time. It's supposed to come out on February the 14th. And that's pending on if these new reshoots are satisfactory enough or they may push it back even further again. So.
But again,
I was gonna say, I guess that deal with like McDonald's was like locked in place because they released like all the little toys, spoiling all the characters that were supposed to be in the movie, and the movie is currently being rewritten. So who knows if any of those characters are actually going to be in the film by the time it's polished and released.
yeah, and here we are again. It's a new storyline with new characters with new beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
There's 6 rewrites to this thing, and that's the best they can say about it is they've got new beliefs.
6.
Okay.
I mean, how does like I was just thinking, how do people are not fired by this? Like, how are people not fired up to this point? Because it's not just this one; it's the Blade debacle. On top of that, it's the Captain America debacle. It's all the debacles with the Disney Plus shows. They shot like half of that. What was it? The Daredevil series, and then started from scratch halfway during shooting half the series. So now they're starting completely from scratch and going in an entirely different direction. It's like these people are getting paid millions and millions of dollars to be this incompetent, and I don't understand it. It's like if you drive the forklift into a wall of your warehouse, it's like you're probably going to be gone by the end of the day. It's like that's your one shot. But these people are getting paid millions of dollars to make absolutely trash that's not even remotely satisfactory in any way, shape, or form.
Well, and it's not that it's not just satisfactory. It's pushing a message on top of that. So you're getting lectured rather than getting a comic book story that's just in and out, you know? At this point, I don't even think they could tell you the story of Superman rescuing a cat from a tree without some racial undertone to it.
Mm-hmm. It's probably like, a black cat, and there's like something about systematic oppression or racism or something like that.
Well, DC3, they're not fired because, as Anthony Mackie says here, there's just so much creativity, only so much creativity you could bring to the table. Because Stan Lee gave us so much, the MCU just can't dig its way out.
Oh, that's a problem. They're just too creative over there at Marvel. That's what happens when you're in your second set of reshoots after your third test screening failed in the last like year and a half.
And again, I mean, they can't figure out this Brave New World story because they don't want to acknowledge that Anthony Mackie is the Black Captain America. They want to do everything but that. They want to tell you the racial stereotype he's forced to live by, all the crazy stuff, but they don't want to acknowledge it.
We'll talk about this later on tonight too, but it's the same problem with the Furiosa series. They're trying to sell you a Mad Max movie without Mad Max, and then they wonder why it flops. Here they're trying to give you a Captain America movie without Captain America, and they expect to have the exact same success. And it's like, what part of this do you not understand? I hate to see what the budget of this film is going to be. They were probably trying to scale the budget back for this movie, but with so many reshoots up to this point, this is probably a $250 million production minimum at this point.
Yeah, you'd think anyway, right? With everybody involved, they're not like some amateur hour Mad TV effort here. These are people that are asserted in
On
Hollywood.
paper.
Well, again, I mean, Harrison Ford is playing a Hulk. Okay?
Yeah. Harrison Ford is probably going to be like 84 years old by the time we actually see this movie. And they made him a Red Hulk. Which means that by the time we get, if we ever do get another film in this series, he'll probably be dead.
So Snakes tells us rather, Sam Cap's first comic book run was entirely minority focused to the point where they would not let him let him leave the ghetto rather, for 25 issues until Secret Empire kicked off with Hydra. Wow. So he was like,
Yeah.
he was just Black Cap, like right down
In the ghetto.
Yeah, in the ghetto.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Rewrites will cause Seth Rollins to repackage himself.
Oh God! Don't bring up Seth Rollins to me right now, especially with all the crap going on with his wife in WWE at the moment. They can both go, jump off of something high. Let's just put it that way. I think that's safe to say on YouTube.
Yeah. Is there news about him?
No, his wife Becky Lynch, who I think the contract is up this week. She was going over supporting. Did you hear about that whole Irish group from Univision like a couple of weeks back? How they were doing like the whole satanic ritual, talking about the queers are going to win or some nonsense like that. Well, she was supporting like that group recently because keep in mind Seth Rollins himself in real life isn't actually a Satanist, slash atheist, quote unquote, but I mean, let's be very, very clear about here. And she's been a person who's been convicted of doing like a lot of weird, eyes wide shut type stuff over the last couple of years too, because she's becoming a big name in the wrestling / entertainment world as well. So then, of course, people were noting that she was promoting this van that basically was talking about that it was going to rebel against God or something. Especially Israel was specifically the state that they were rebelling against. So it's like, oh, okay, great. That this is our world champion and our women's champion that we're all supposed to be proud of. Not to mention, just from a basic wrestling standpoint, like Seth Rollins has failed with so many gimmicks over the last 10 years, and Becky Lynch has been doing the same gimmick for the last 6 years, and it's gotten annoying. So it's all a giant shit show at the end of the day.
What do you think about this, Nerdigans?
Well, I can't believe Becky is retiring. That's crazy.
We could only be so lucky.
But I don't know if because we're talking about wrestling, I don't know if you saw this earlier today. But Triple H was going in. I think it was like a cross-dresser or something on someone who was on twerking or something. It was really, really ridiculous.
It was worse. So WWE decided that they were going to bring in Sexy Red to be a star on their NXT show, which is basically their developmental show that they've been doing. So she made an appearance last night.
Disabled show.
It might as well be, honestly. But yeah, she made a big appearance on that show, and then the next thing you know, Triple H is like marking out over Sexy Red of all people, who's just not only I think an embarrassment is really just kind of like an easy term to talk about her at this point. She's kind of just a disgrace to the music industry in general, but she's degenerate, and she has a lot of dumb, stupid, degenerate fans, so she has to be a thing because reasons.
Didn't she support Trump though?
No, I think you're talking about another dumb rapper. That might be like Cardi B or something like that. They all sound the same after a while.
God.
By the way, everyone, it's Nerdigan's birthday. Make sure to send her plenty of messages to embarrass her.
No, don't do that. It's not just my birthday. It's also well, it was on the 25th. It was Ghost in the Shell manga's 35th birthday as well. I can't believe it that I'm the same age as Ghost in the Shell, and also Hajime no Ippo manga is the same age as me too. It's crazy. They all came out in 1989. Yeah.
1989 means you're 1 year younger than me.
Yep.
Same age as Taylor Swift.
Oh,
Boom,
don't
boom,
mind.
boom. Yeah, so this was the band that Becky Lynch was marking out over here, and I think somebody played a video of this whole routine a few weeks back, and it was like,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. So ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. By the way, this would be a good time to promote. Me and Technical Workway Productions did an episode of the Bible Lens a few weeks back talking about how Satanism has taken over WWE. You should go check it out. It's our highest viewed episode up to this point.
Oh, but yeah, I mentioned Ghost in the Shell. I posted in the Slack, but yeah, there's a. It was actually on the 35th anniversary. They announced the new anime for Ghost in the Shell, and in the press release, they announced which parts are going to be adapted in the anime, and that it's going to be submitted to cans as well, which I was really surprised. I thought that was kind of interesting that they're going to go this route. That's partially why they're doing it, I guess.
Why is everybody's mic so hot? My gosh.
Maybe it's on your end. Did you ever think that maybe your stuff is all haywire and goofy?
I have to have the most detailed headphones ever. Like COD players should be killing to get a hold of these things. I can hear the cellular division in Spencer's microphone right now. I can hear sound dragging apart. You know? Oh, it's twice tonight. Like Nerdigans comes in with a perfectly fine, like regular old laptop mic, and both of you come in here with like ASMR. Hey, I am the third soul on the left nostril of Jacob's face.
Can I get a number 7 with extra fries, and can I make that high? What kind of high C do you guys have? Do you have orange, or do you only have fruit punch?
I was going to make that joke.
Let me turn 65 the next one. Thank you. What?
Pull forward.
Okay, thank you, pull forward. That'll be 1376 for a burger? Like, what is
Don't even get me started. I will do it again. I'm still mad.
So it sounds like the MC at like one of those events where like it's going really well and like the rapper sounds really clear, and then the MC will come through and his mic's just blasted out like he's talking into like
hitting all the levels.
Yeah.
Or even worse, it sounds like one of those like modern like rap concerts, or no, it's like a rap concert from like the early 2000s where there's like 50 people on stage and like everyone just sounds like a big mess. Like everyone's like, there's like 30 people on stage with a mic and no one can hear the song.
That reminds me of a very specific event. Okay, do you remember, or like for those of you who went to college or something, or like I guess even if you didn't go, so normally like at the start of every school year, lots of colleges will host like welcome back things, and they'll have like booth set up, and they'll invite bands, and people can come, and they're generally like pretty big bands, like no matter what campus you go to. So my sophomore year of college, I was going to I mean you can look it up so I don't have to hide it, but I was at UC Riverside because I was trying to get into the UC system. It is not a good school. I will be the first to admit that.
Oh, but UC Riverside is like the lower end.
I literally only went in because I'm like, oh, this will get me into the UC like system, and then I can transfer out to wherever. And that's what I eventually did. But that year we had a bunch of musical guests, but they were mostly like, I want to say like electronica type bands. So they were like Crystal Palaces, all those sort of bands. And then the headliner was Taking Back Sunday, which is really cool.
Really?
It was really cool. But because the school has like no resources or didn't have anybody knowing what they were doing behind the like soundboard, they didn't readjust the sound in between bands. So when Taking Back Sunday went up, it was super like heavy on the bass and nothing else. So you could hear the bass drum, you could hear the bass guitar, and you can hear this from the microphone because it was getting all the bass through. It was so weird, but we were all drunk. It didn't matter. We were having like the best times. But yes, I guess are we getting started, Cider? I guess we're
started.
Yeah.
I looked
Well,
at
well-
it. It started like 40 minutes
Well,
ago. What-
I mean properly. I just want to make sure. Are we doing an intro or anything? Do you
Well,
already
hold
know
on.
our
But
intro?
before we do the intro, because if we're really going to get into, I have to show this before we go live because this is just absolute fuckery, as Nerdigans likes to say. This is from 20 years ago. Some of you guys might not remember this. This was one of the
man.
last Source Awards that they ever
Joe!
did, and they're performing the Lean Back remix. There's about 50 rappers on stage, and everyone has at least like 4 people of their entourage that are also on stage.
my
So
God,
keep in mind,
yes.
Mace is in the song, right? Because he's trying to get to the front so he can do his verse. There's so many people on stage, he can't get to the front of the stage, and you hear him saying, "Let me in, let me in," while he's on the stage. This is real. This actually happened. Here you go.
It's the remix.
Yeah, Harlem is back. Who in the world want a problem with that? I said Harlem is back. Who
There's
in
like
the world
literally
want a
100 people on
problem with
stage right now.
Him in there. Hey, let's jump at Joe.
We make
and
sense.
Remy Martin, Terror Squad.
that? Okay, y'all.
Social Ones, let's go. Hey,
You know what y'all do, cause the day y'all do.
hey, and do the block, do play. Everybody. Lean back. Lean back. Lean back. Come on, remix.
Yeah, Harlem is back. Let me in. Who want a problem with
What
that?
they say.
I said
It's a let
Harlem is
me
back.
in.
Let me in. You know it's deja vu, cause the day
Oh
y'all
my
do.
god, that was
There's so-
such a mess.
Like, how do you even know who is like the performer on that stage? You know what I mean? Like,
It's like, first of all, they started singing the wrong verse of the song, and then they realized they were screwing up. So then they tried to stop. Then they realized that Mace wasn't actually on stage, so they're yelling at Mace to get on the stage. He can't get on there because there's 100 people in front of him. So now everyone's screaming, "Let Mace onto the stage so he can perform his song." And it's like there's only like 4 people on the actual song, but there's like 136 people standing on the stage before because like
seriously, like who is that guy? Who is that guy standing next to me? I don't know who that guy is. I'm just gonna sing my part of the song. I wouldn't even. if I
are
was
they
there,
all
I would've just
rappers?
sat in the back. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know who you are. I'm like, are you featured here? And he's like giving shout outs to everybody. I'm like, are you just gonna go down the entire like list of people who came up with you?
Oh, since we're talking about rap, did you guys see the whole thing with Eminem yesterday for his new song that's coming out this week?
no, I heard that he
Oh my
was
God,
releasing
it was
something.
so
I haven't
see
paid
it.
attention to
crazy.
Eminem since I hit puberty.
Oh my god, it was crazy. He had David Blaine on like a FaceTime call, and they were talking about his upcoming song. And David Blaine actually took a sip of his he drank a whole glass of wine, took a bite of the wine glass. And then Eminem said, well, he's talking about magic, and Eminem's like, well, I'm gonna make my career disappear. And then revealed the song.
Don't worry, that happened 10 years ago. But
I know, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, what year did I just wake up in? David Blaine, Eminem?
I mean, if we're being completely honest, Eminem peaked on like the Eminem show. That was like 2002.
yeah, like
so.
forever ago.
I know.
Without Me, there you go. Best song he ever put out. End of story. End of discussion. Maybe Stan.
The best thing Eminem ever contributed to the music industry was 50 Cent.
Pretty much. He
So-
gave Dre a little boost.
are we waiting on Josh? Or are we
No, screw him. Let's start it.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll hobble in.
okay? So we're going to start 0-1 now. We'll explain what just happened.
Yeah, we'll
in this
explain
last
everything
iteration.
once we get going.
Let's go.
One more kiss and I'll get lost. I can take this anymore. One more step, we have it all. The fever's knocking at your door. One more kiss and I'll get lost. I can take this anymore. One more step, we have it all. The fever's knocking at your door. Can you feel the fever? You give me a fever again.
Yes, I know it's just your game, but I love to be the one who gets played, yeah. There I go and I just fall again. Cause baby, I like the way I'm loving you. I like the hell you put me through.
Furiosa, more like Fury. No one saw this movie. That was awful.
Wait a second, Nergans is a doctor? What is she, a podiatrist?
I can't believe Ghost in the Shell and I are both 35 years old.
Salute to you, 01, and welcome aboard the O.R.C.A. Right here, this is the Majors Lounge, and what you were just watching before is effectively a pre-show that we do here from aboard the O.R.C.A. And if you want to go all the way back to the intro, you can see me fly a jet through an asteroid field to get here on time, and I was late even to put on the show. Without further ado, here's everybody else.
Yeah, so just like Cider said, we're trying some new things out. I think we've talked about it before. We're trying new things over here at the YouTube channel, trying to get it to grow and all that fun stuff. So yeah, we're trying out a new hour or so pre-show before 01. If you like it, let us know. If you don't like us, let us know. Just let us know your thoughts. We're here for you. But yeah, we are back. It is Wednesday night, and we have a lot to talk about here at 01. Obviously, I am your host, Spencer McCooley, the editor-in-chief of the host website here, Bounding Into Comics. I am joined, as always, by my good friends. Who do I have here? I have Cider down there, Nerdigans over there, Jacob over there. How are you folks doing tonight? How are you guys all doing?
This one's to you, Nerdigans. I hope your lower back pain goes well with your upper back pain. Happy 35.
Yes,
I'm not
everyone.
happy that it's my birthday today. I don't want to be.
Yeah, in case you guys didn't know, because I didn't know until like 5 minutes before showtime, it is our very own Nerdigans'. It is her lovely birthday today, so happy birthday, Nerdigans. How does it feel to be 35?
It really sucks. I do not want to be 35.
Burn.
I mean, it's okay. I will be there next year. Next year, I turn 35, but I'm already feeling like oh man, I don't know what I'm doing with myself. Like, what have I done lately? You know, like, I don't want to ever go back in time. Like, there are those people who are like, I want to go back in time to high school because those were the best days. And I'm like, I don't want to go back to high school because that was all awful. And I'm not, like emotionally stunted. But I would love to go back and like, I could stay up for like all night, get 2 hours of sleep and be completely refreshed. I could eat everything. I never had a hangover until I was like 24, like I want all that back.
I would just like to redo my 30s. My 30s have just sucked so far.
They're not over yet. You got 5 years.
I know, but I'd like to
invest in like a 401k or I don't know.
have an IRA. No, I've been an IRA since like my 20s.
You are turning 48.
IRA since my 20s. I can't touch it until I turn 55.
Yeah, see, this actually isn't a pop culture show anymore. We're here to give you investment advice for your future. Now, everybody needs to start thinking about retirement, what you'll be doing.
This is a show specifically crafted to help white women get over their midlife crisis. So this is what we're going to be seeing here for the next 2 hours.
That's
why we have these three schlubby men here. Yeah.
The only good thing that has come out today is the fact that I could, for like the first time in my 30s, fit into my designer clothes that I haven't fit into since like my 20s, my early 20s. So that means I've lost all my grief weight, which is nice.
So does that mean that you're gonna be like, I don't know, doing like a fashion show for us throughout the course of this night? Just gonna be showing up in different dresses.
No, that's not happening. No, I still got weight to lose though, because
the thing is, when she talks about her like old clothes, it's not like dresses or anything like that or fashion. No, it is just like old anime shirts that she can't wear anymore. It's like Sailor Moon shirts, Dragon Ball shirts.
No, I'm talking about Juicy Couture, Michael Kors, Betsy Johnson. Like I'm talking about my really good.
I'm sorry. Every time I hear the name Juicy Couture, I audibly cringe. Like every time I hear that.
And Ed Hardy stuff too. I love my Ed Hardy. I love my skulls. I love my crossbones, and I also love my Juicy Couture stuff. So
you truly are like a 50-year-old Long Island like Jewish woman, right? Like you've got your Ed Hardy going. Like,
well, these are Juicy Couture glasses, by the way.
I mean, they look good. I'm just saying, like, I've never heard anybody who wasn't like a midlife crisising like guy go like, I'm all about Ed Hardy. Ed Hardy is my brand. Like, you might be the first person.
But here's the thing, though. I loved Ed Hardy and like Betsy Johnson and stuff. I've loved it since like 2007, 2008-ish. I loved it before it was even popular, especially in terms of Betsy Johnson.
Fashion hipster over here. We got okay. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to pull your favorites up here.
Whoa, got a fashion badass here. Careful, everybody.
Yo, you and your tap out T-shirts from 2007.
I found a cut of Levi's jeans that fit me and looks good on me back when I was like 17, and I bought the same cut for the rest of my life. Like that's as far as my fashion knowledge goes. Yeah, it's pretty nice. Like we have a lot of problems, but it's also very nice to just like
men don't throw away their clothes until there's like a hole in the crotch, and then they have no choice but to get rid of them.
I have like shirts that are more tattered than I'd like to admit that I am like waiting. They're like on a thread, and I wear them to like do chores or whatever. But like Jacob's not wrong.
I have a couple of T-shirts. Yeah, I got a couple of T-shirts in there. They've been packed out by the washing machine over the last several years. It's like it's not a good situation.
I think it's clothes that I've had since like 2005 still.
I don't think I've got clothes that long because men, we tend to wear our clothes until they just like disintegrate. Like we don't retire pieces of clothing.
I'm a tomboy in that way. I just
there you go. Leslie's got it. We don't throw away our clothes until our wives or our girlfriends do it for us.
Against our will, by the way.
Yeah, always against our will.
Dude, that was my favorite T-shirt.
It's always that one time we go to like the grocery store that we come back and it just so happens to be gone.
My favorite Dragon Ball shirt. I miss you.
Here you go.
Don't get a lawyer. Do the whole bid. Be a man.
Oh, wait.
If your smoke detector keeps on beeping, don't change the batteries. Chuck it out the window. Be a
man.
Let it beep outside.
Don't stalk people on Facebook. Do it in person. Be a man.
He's cracking up.
Don't throw your pants out. Wear them until the crotch disintegrates. Be a man.
Be a man. Decency, public decency, be a man.
So the real question here before we start talking about the real topics is that when is Nerdigan's gonna go back to her throwback like auburn hair, like to like next length hairdo that she was rocking a few years ago?
I know my parents have been bugging me about cutting my hair too and dyeing it. I want to, and I'm just like, well, I kind of have to pay my rent and make sure I have a roof over my head first. That's more.
You can spare $20-$30 on a haircut. It's not that big.
It's like fit. Well, I have to see if it's more expensive now. But the last time I got my hair done, and that's like a cut and dye, it was like $50, $50-$60.
And just go to like one of those like Paul Mitchell like student shops where it's like
at the beauty school, and it took
because they fuck it up, they can't charge you too much money.
I don't go to phase 1. I go to phase 2 where they're about to graduate. I ain't that stupid.
I mean, I would just, I watched a movie earlier this week where I learned that you don't need any of that fancy stuff. You can just sort of butcher your own hair off as many times as you need. Why don't you go for the Furiosa, Nerdigans? Like, just go for the Furiosa. Just go straight on for that.
Nah, I ain't doing that. I've been getting my hair cut and dyed since I was like 14 or died since 14, cut since obviously.
I mean, your hair is long enough that if you get it in the right style, you will look like one of those women from like the 1970s episodes of The Price is Right. So
100%. Like we were just
when I was
watching
like in
over there
7th
on
grade, I
episode
had like a
100
mullet
Barroom
kind of
Podcast.
style
Yeah.
because my hair is naturally poofy and frizzy.
we're gonna get you like some bell bottoms and like some flower tats.
Yes.
I love bell bottoms.
I've always wanted to do, or like wondered if it actually works, because so in Mulan, like when she gets ready to she does the thing like when she's like getting ready to go to war, she like just balls up her hair and then takes the sword and like cuts it, and then it's like a perfectly nice cut. I've always wondered like, what are the odds that actually works out? Like I feel like that was.
What are the odds she
Am
has
I
a
right?
talking dragon voiced by Eddie Murphy?
Look, that's more believable than a perfectly straight, like beautiful. It's not even like a
curse on your cows, a curse on your family's cows.
No, it's dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow.
So we now work on my hair. My hair, I have Jew hair. Okay, my hair is naturally, if I don't have the right product, it's dry, frizzy, curly,
like crispy
all that.
And stuff.
Yeah, like if it's fro-ish, I would have like the Jew poof, the Jew fro.
Got him.
Canceled already just for joof or joofy, whatever word I just used. Jew poof.
Yeah, not canceled.
But I would listen to Volume Dealer as long as you don't buzz one side of your head.
Why would I do that?
That's what the entertainment industry tells me is the mark of a strong woman, and you're a strong woman.
Not.
Ergo, you need to go.
It's the mark of a woman with like mental illness, and Nerdigans does not need to go around like advertising her mental problems.
I have mental illnesses. It took me 20 years to get the right medical cocktail to control that. I don't need to shave my head.
Well, you know who else doesn't shave their head?
Perfect lead in, my friend. Perfect lead in.
YOWZA.
So yes, let's get into our topics for tonight. We have a lot, starting with a white pill. We have a big win here in case for our scene, for the anti-Big Two comics fans out there. In case you guys didn't see the news last week, Rippaverse, Eric July over there, has officially teamed up with McFarlane freaking Toys to produce a giant like maquette statue of YOWZA. Interesting choice to go with YOWZA because I thought he would have picked Isom at first because that's like his debut character. Not a complaint, just like an observation. I was like, YOWZA? All right. Sure. I would have thought Isom, but that's it. But yeah, in case you guys haven't seen it, this statue is an official McFarlane Toys release. It is about, what is it? It's like a 1/6 size statue. So that thing is going to be about, like a foot or so tall. It is cast in resin. You can see it right here. It is obviously like normal McFarlane quality. It is an absolutely beautiful figure. Hate him or love him, you got to give Eric like the win here. This is a massive W for crowdfunded comics, independent creators, anybody who's outside of the Big Two. I genuinely can't think of another indie brand. And I know a lot of people are now like trying to say, oh, Rippaverse isn't indie because now they partnered with McFarlane Toys, and it's like you guys are being disingenuous. This is Rippaverse is like as indie as they get. They have really good presentation because they put the effort into it, but there's only like 9 people working over there. This is not. There's no.
It's like them saying, "Oh, he's not indie because he makes more money than me." It's like, well, that's not the definition of an indie.
That's literally. I literally had that thought in my head because it reminds me so much of all the arguments of like, oh, they sold out, and it's like they sold out because people liked their CD and bought it. Like, I don't understand what you guys are talking about here. Like, you just want to hate. But yeah, it is. So for those who are interested, it is going to be pricey. It is a $500 statue, which is like, it's a little bit out of my wheelhouse. I guess that's probably in the standard wheelhouse for these nicer statues. I went looking on the McFarlane Toys website, and for limited run DC statues of Batman and Superman, they also are charging about $500. So it all seems very standard. No extra what do you want to call it, like upcharge fees or hidden fees or any of that sort of stuff. They are making a limited amount. It is a run of between 500 to 1050. So it will be minimum 500 are going to be made, depending on how much interest is there after it. they will expand the print run. But yeah, overall, I just think that this is like a super massive W. I don't know how many people have ever created like a character and gone, I can't wait to have it get an action figure or like one of these statues. And
Yeah.
Eric did it. So again, like love him or hate him, you got to give the man his dues. Like even his number one hater, like, and we all see it online, right? Like EVS, even EVS has given Eric like props. Like, you know, I don't really like Rippaverse, but he got like, this is a good win. Like this is a massive win. A McFarlane level production is nothing to scoff at.
No, didn't Common America get a McFarlane statue? I can't remember.
No.
I don't think they got McFarlane, did they?
No.
I know Common just did an action figure.
Yeah, I know they got an action figure, but I just can't remember with who.
Yeah, it wasn't McFarlane.
That new action figure, it's like it's like an independent thing. It's not through anybody. And then they did they have like a statue, like a maquette statue, but it's not made by McFarlane. It is made by somebody. The packaging just has Iconic Comics on it. I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, because I was like, yeah, I'm like, I know there was another. I know Common America, you know, which is indie, has statues,
Yeah.
but I just didn't remember if it was through McFarlane. Oh, the other things, because I know this was announced too. I think it was this past week, or maybe even last week. And speaking of McFarlane is doing a line of Bleach 1,000-Year Blood War figures as well.
Are they doing like figures or are they doing statues?
I know they're doing figures. I'm not sure about statues.
Because here's my thing with McFarlane Toys is they make good toys. I know I have a couple friends who collect like the DC Multiverse line and stuff, but I've never really found an appeal in like the McFarlane figures. Now the statues are obviously like, those are the gold standard. Those are the ones in all of the like comic book shops, in all of the cases and everything. Like those all are always impressive, but I always feel like the McFarlane toys are just a little, the best way I can put it is like soul versus soulless. There's something a little soulless about the McFarlane molds, and I can't place like what it is about it on it, but I've never been like a fan of their action figures. And then aren't McFarlane the same ones who did the My Hero toys, right? That we looked at like months ago.
They did My Hero. Yeah, they've done My Hero toys and like figures as well. And it's just, especially like if you're going, for example, if you're going to like because more and more anime figures are popping up at like the discount stores now, like Bam Presto ones too. And I think SH Figure Arts are as well. But I know, like, from what I've been seeing in the toy hunting videos, there are stacks of them. And they're, like, under $20 now. Like, 12
Well,
no, let me get to the point, though. What I was saying is that, like, when because you brought up the sculpts. If you look at the sculpts at, like, a Bam Presto or an SH Figure Arts even, and compare it to a McFarlane, it's no contest.
Right. That's, better. And that's what I... Oh, is this this is the trailer for it?
Yeah, I just have the sound turned off at the moment. So
yeah, no worries. I'm sure we would get dinged for it eventually.
But yeah, that was the point I was trying to make. And then like I think the Bam Presto, depending on which statue you get, like even like the accessories and even SH Figure Arts, the accessories look a lot better, and you get like better head sculpts. To swap out for anime figures as well. And even not just anime figures too, they even do like really good sculpts for DC and Marvel figures as well. They really outdo themselves at Bam Presto and SH. They're really stepping up their game.
Well, see, here's my issue, and this is to support what you're saying, Nerdigans, is when it comes to anime figures in the West, like Western companies have some issue where they don't translate it right. Like this is the McFarlane Deku toy, right? And for all intents and purposes, the mold looks fine-ish, but then you have that really weird expression on his face. Like the eyes aren't big enough for what they're going for. And then I think the thing that really bothers me about these toys is you can sort of notice it here. The way they paint like American toys, they're more like matte, not matte, matte's the wrong word. They're more like dirty. I don't know. It feels worse to touch like the paint coat on like a McFarlane toy than it does on a Figuarts toy. And I'm not entirely
Or a
sure
Van
what it is.
Presto toy too.
Or a Band Presto toy, any of that. Well, like the Band Presto statues and like their toys. Yeah, there's something I just don't like when Western companies try to make anime figures like this, because there's some, they just can never capture the spirit right. And I don't know, of the character, of the aesthetic almost. Because like if you, and I'm going to bust out the same thing I do. If you guys watch my own streams, I bust them out all the time. But like I've got a Figuarts Goku here, right? Super Saiyan 4. And the way he's painted, there's like it's like glossy, but also matte. And it sort of conveys that anime feel. Whereas I look at this Deku, and that paint job is the paint job you give to like a hyper realistic DC figure, right? Like that's what you give to a Snyderverse Batman, and it just clashes with like the aesthetic and the content, and it's just always so weird to me. So I've never been a big fan of Western, like McFarlane anime toys. We talked about it before. I'm open for them to get better, but so far we're not seeing anything hot. Like we can even look here at their most recent stuff.
Yeah,
like this Todoroki's not great.
But even if you compare like the McFarlane DC toys and compare it to like what you've seen, what I think it's a SH Figure Arts for the one I'm thinking. Yeah, SH Figure Arts like Batman's, for example. If you compare like the face sculpts and the paint on it,
yeah,
it's like so like for I think it's a DCEU one. Like you compare the face sculpt and like the detailing on it compared to like a McFarlane one. And
yeah,
it looks way more realistic. It looks like it's come out of the movie. It's just
right. That's what I'm saying. Like
yeah,
they try to capture that aesthetic of whatever that source material is. This is like a weird adaptation of like anime, but Western,
I'm not just talking
but
about
still
the
anime.
I'm not just talking about the anime. I'm talking about like even the DCU ones, like with
right.
like
Well, that's what I'm saying too. Like I went to the anime ones, but like in the DCU ones, like they go, oh, that one's supposed to be, you know, comic book, or that one's supposed to be from the movies. Like they emulate that style they emulate the source material style of whatever figure they're making. The McFarlane ones in the West generally bring them into their production molds, so they're not emulating like the aesthetics or whatever of the source material. Like I said, when we look at like Todoroki here, this is Todoroki if he was in a manga, if it was done by like Warner Brothers, right? Yeah. Like it doesn't feel like a Japanese figure. This feels like a Todoroki that somebody got like one of those how to draw manga books, and they've been practicing it for like a year or two, so they're not bad, but they're not there yet. So
it's like the bare minimum, you know what I mean?
Right. But like all that said, it's really complimentary to the Yaira statue, because the statues from McFarlane are great. The figures, but the statues are like I would get
worth that every penny of that $500. Like I've seen the Batman ones, I've seen the Superman ones too, and they are just beautiful.
No, that's not
beautiful.
Yeah, okay, I can't pull them up easy right now because we're not there. But oh look, who wants Fortnite figures? Yay! Let's play McFarlane Fortnite. You want to talk about figures that are everywhere? This is like a quick aside. Yeah, McFortnite. These figures are everywhere, and they just pile up. Like I don't know.
Go to
who's buying all these Fortnite figures.
Go to Ollie. They're at Ollie's, like stocked. Not as much.
We don't have them out here. They don't. I don't know. I think Ollie's ends in like the Midwest or like Texas, because like Arizona doesn't have it. I know California doesn't have it.
I've seen them in the East Coast Toys ones, and they're stocked up there. It would probably be here,
like a Big Lots.
Yeah, it'd be Big Lots. It would be probably the what's the other discount store? TJ Maxx and Ross and Marshalls would be where they're at here.
Yeah, probably
West Coast.
But yeah, no Ollie's, no dedicated like floor space to go into. But yeah, and then Snake says, I've heard the figures have been declining in quality for a while now.
Oh yeah,
that's what I have heard that, and I specifically out of McFarlane Toys, I have one friend I'm specifically thinking of who collects them, who we were talking the other day, and he's saying that because I was under the impression that, and this was just my own, because I don't collect either of them, and I'm just like, I was going off of just like an outside observer, but like I thought Marvel Legends figures were a little cheaper like feeling than the DC ones, and then my friend was like, no, I don't know what happened, but the McFarlane ones are very cheap now. Like everything is breaking when you pull it out of the box. So, I mean, it's sad. It's just the decline. I don't know enough about like the toy production business because there's a whole manufacturing like economic business to learn about that. But I mean, it's bad that we don't have money to afford any of this stuff. Everybody has to cut corners for everything. That's why things are getting axed and rewritten. And it's just, it's a really bad moment for consumers right now, just across the board, no matter what you're trying to enjoy, whether that's movies or comic books. And we're not even talking about content. I just mean like price wise, like it is a disaster to try and do anything these days. It's hard out there. It's hard out there to exist.
Well, with
I don't
Marvel,
even know if that, I don't know if that
Marvel's
joke translated,
Hasbro.
but
well, Marvel's Hasbro,
Huh?
and something I've been hearing. I saw on
yeah,
Twitter
I know.
with
But I was just
Hasbro-
saying, I was just comparing the quality of the figures. They
Well,
don't
yeah,
need to be
that-
the same.
Yeah,
company.
but speaking of Hasbro, because in terms of quality, because we're mentioning quality,
yeah,
is that Hasbro is starting to use AI for dubbing. So quality is going down for Hasbro everywhere right now. It's crazy.
well, I haven't heard the dubbing stuff, and I don't even know
I'll
what they
send
would
it
be
to. I'll
dubbing.
send it
So,
to you.
yeah, we'll
I'll send
definitely
it
look
to you in
into that.
Slack.
But no, it is just, it's not fun for anybody across the board right now. But so to that end, we got to take our wins where they come. This is a massive win for everybody, for indie comic creators, for comic book fans, for merch like collectors. Like this opens the door for so much stuff. Kind of speaking to what Nerdigan said, I hope this gets us some really cool, higher quality Common America merch. Like I'd be super excited for that. And like, I think at the end of the day, what makes me so excited about the statue, even though I can't afford it, I'm probably not gonna be able to get one, is just like Eric went out, he wanted to make a comic book, he made a comic book. He didn't have to get anybody's approval for it. He didn't have to what's the right term here? Prove himself. He just said, I have an idea, I want to create it. He went out, he created, he marketed, and now he's got a McFarlane statue. So that to me is just sort of like an entrepreneurial victory that we should all highlight.
Yep. I mean, as we highlighted,
$500. I can't.
We don't have
Not in
indies.
this economy.
No,
We don't have indies going the distance like this.
We don't have what?
We don't have indies going the distance like this.
No, we really don't.
So,
This is like the biggest one. Before this, I would have said Common America because they're the only ones I can really think of that have moved into, I guess EVS did like a few Salamandroid figures, but the Iconic Comics team are the ones who are like, here's a new statue, here's a new figure, and they're always like constantly looking outwards. So we push it, keep pushing it. You never know until you ask. The worst thing they can say is no. No, we don't want to make a figure of your character right now.
well, I don't know. If you ask George R.R. Martin, if they ask you they want to make a movie out of your book, that's the worst thing they could say.
Yeah, so next topic, guys, in case you haven't seen it, George R.R. Martin has taken another break from writing The Winds of Winter to weigh in on pop culture. And it is, he's reiterating his opinion. He said it before, but Martin is not a fan of, what do you call it? Like Hollywood
Adaption.
producers thinking they know better, right? Like they're not a fan of adaptation, or he's fine with adaptations, but he doesn't like when creators sort of take something, or when not creators, but when Hollywood executives and stuff take something and sort of overwrite it with their own ideas. And I think that's generally a sentiment. Like to me, this is one of those broken clock moments, right? Like a broken clock is right twice a day. Martin 2 years ago said the same thing, and he said it again. And I don't think any of us here would really disagree with the man, right? Like in his latest post, he basically takes shots at producers who look at a work and they think they have these ideas. They think they can make it better. Oh, they know so much better than the original creator. And at the end of the day, they never are. Or like,
don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next product.
Oh, don't worry. We'll have a lot of that sentiment as soon as we get to Furiosa, or we talk more about
Furiosa.
Fury. Dude, that movie.
Get it? Because no one saw it.
That was my joke at the beginning. I know I didn't land, but I tried. But yeah, so Martin is basically saying, 99 out of 100 times, every time they adapt something, they make it worse. occasionally they can adapt something and it's a good adaptation, but he never says anybody makes it better. And his example, the reason he made this recent blog post, the reason he came out and said this was he apparently just watched the FX series Shogun, which is a adaptation of a 1970s novel. If you haven't seen it, it is really, really freaking good. Like, it is good television. They've what do I want to say here? So it's an amazing adaptation. The thing that gives me pause is FX did the stupid thing where they did one season of Shogun. It covered the book. It was done. It was stories over. Now they're renewing it for 2 more seasons, and they're going to continue the story. But now it's all on them to like write it. There's no source material. So I'm just like, okay, you've ruined it.
We all know where this is going.
Yeah, we all know where this is going. This never ends well for anybody. But the main, like, so yeah, I don't think any of us can really disagree with Martin here. It is stop trying to change things. If you get a hold of a piece of media, do your damnedest to try and adapt it the way it's presented or the way the fans want it. Otherwise, it's the thing we talk about all the time, right? Where the people who are working on this stuff don't care about the actual material. They just care about, you know, how they can subvert it, how they can leave their mark on Hollywood, on the franchise, go down in history. And when that's your main focus, everybody else can sniff out that you're 100% full of it. And it never, I don't know if I can think of any, they exist, I'm sure there are, but like the adaptations where they go, we're going to take the source material and change like 89% of it are maybe one in a gorillion. Like, I'm struggling to think of one. I'm only saying it never happens because I'm sure it's happened once, and somebody pedantic out there will get on my butt about, actually, this one time, this adaptation was way better.
No, back in the day, actually, it just goes into this diatribe of nonsense.
Every single time. What were you saying, Cider? Or somebody said something, I thought?
No, I said that sounds about right.
Oh, yeah. And then, yeah, exactly, Eccentric. Like the second and third Hobbit movies. I mean, the entire Hobbit series altogether. That's probably one of the most egregious examples where they went, here is like, actually, all of, like, The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power are probably the best examples of this. Because they went, oh, here are, like, 5 paragraphs. Like, what the Rings of Power has the rights to are like 5 paragraphs worth of material. And then the Hobbit book itself is like that. Like, it is not a big book. It is a self-contained story. We assign it to like middle schoolers to read for like the Scholastic Book Fair. It's not that complicated of a thing. But then you have people come in and go, oh, well, what if it had a sword battle? And what if it had CGI wolves? And what if it had girl boss archer elves? And it's just
oh yeah. What if we did this?
That's all right. It's like, oh, you guys want okay, come. Hey, everybody, we're opening a burger restaurant. Come on over to this burger restaurant. But instead of a burger, you're going to have a fish patty, and instead of like a tomato, you're going to have a fruit roll up, and instead of condiments, you're going to have like battery acid or something. And then when they give it to you, you go, what the I didn't want this. Like, why did you change that? And they're like, oh, this is our adaptation. It's exactly like what you would have had, but now it's updated. Now we have more modern ingredients. And it's like, this is not what anybody who wants a hamburger would have ever asked for. And yes, I am aware I am doing the American meme of being an American and using a food analogy. Whatever. That's our national pastime, and I will stand by it. Let's see. Leslie says, I used to like the Hobbit movies until I read The Hobbit. I mean, just 1 second, Nerdigans, because I just got to like, really, Leslie? Really? I don't know about, like, I look at those Hobbit movies and they are just, they're cynical to me. Like, they drip. I look at those movies and I'm like, this only exists because you wanted a cash grab. That's the only reason this movie exists. That's why the next few movies exist. You roped Peter Jackson into this because you had a lot of money and you thought it would save everything. So, like, to me, Leslie, it's just like none of it comes off. It's a very unpleasant experience for me because I'm just like, you could have just left this alone. You could have left the Lord of the Rings trilogy alone. Why? But anyway, go ahead, Nerdigans. What were you saying?
Leslie, I used to think the same way too. In regards, this was like this for, like for example, well, I read the Harry Potter books before I watched the movies, but like after after rereading them multiple times, and then before watching the movies, I was like, no, I'm done. And after watching like maybe the first 5 minutes of Half-Blood Prince, I was like, nope, I'm not doing this no more. I'm done. And then I stopped watching the Harry Potter movies, and I never even watch the rest of book 6 or book 7. Never watched it, and I will never do it. But like the other thing is, I do want to point out with Leslie's thing as well is, it's actually kind of how I ended up becoming a manga only, because I used to just watch the anime, be an anime only, and then I started reading the manga that was adapted from the source material, and I was like, wait a minute, Akame ga Kill was the one that really did it.
Oh yeah,
it was the Akame ga Kill. I used to love that anime, and then I read the manga, I was like, what is this?
This is way better than that 4Kids crap.
Pretty much. That's actually kind of what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, 4Kids is a little bit different. No, this is a completely different story. Akame ga Kill, if you read the manga, you will understand why that anime is bad. You will. You will never think of anime adaptations the same way after you read the Akame ga Kill manga. If you watch the Akame ga Kill anime first, you will hate it.
Yeah, I mean, that's generally like Martin said, again, broken clock right twice a day. 99% of the time, adaptations end up making whatever you're looking at worse. Whether it's a video game adaptation, a book adaptation, TV to movie adaptation, movie to TV adaptation, very rarely do you get something. You can get good stuff, but like, for example, we all, for the most part, I would say most of us here enjoyed phase 1 of Marvel, right? Yeah. But objectively, if you went back and you read the stories that inspired those particular tales, right? Like you read the Ultimates or all that stuff. Yeah, exactly. You'll go, oh, I know where these concessions were made. I know why they did this. And everything sort of just gets a little more cynical. You see parts where you're like, why didn't you go for that? Like the best example, Iron Man 2. They have the whole subplot where Tony is clearly getting drunk all the time. And they have that scene at his birthday party where he ruins everything and Rhodey comes and he gets the War Machine armor. But they don't go full demon in a bottle storyline. And so it just ends up leaving all of us who knew it was coming going, why? Like, where is it? That's the point of this. And then all the other audience members who saw this developing storyline, they just go, where'd that go? Why'd you abandon that? That's so weird. So yeah, most of the time adaptations just
he had to stop drinking because he had a heart problem-y thing that was making his blood turn into blue jelly.
Oh, and then Cider, and then, in a great lesson for everybody, instead of showing, the humility of man or the struggle of addiction or, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, they just put a new magic doodad in him and he didn't need to drink no more. He was fine. He was completely fine.
Well, you got to remember, Spencer, what happened was he had a workout montage that was mingled with a remodeling montage in which he used Captain America's shield as a balancer, okay? So he reclaimed his masculinity that he had lost in the process of turning into a Smurf. And and then his dad said, "You're my greatest creation ever." And everybody cried. And he was like, yeah, now I got to save the day. And that was it. He ate donuts inside of a donut. That's what happened. He ate donuts inside of a donut, and that made him better.
Is it bad that the first thing that I'm thinking of right now, as you're saying this, is the new Sesame Street mecha anime cartoon that came out today?
I'm sorry, what?
Today? That dropped that came out like they've been doing that show for like 2 years now.
Or the new episode that I think it was like a new episode or something came out today. I saw it on my feed. I was like, oh god.
Probably an episode, but yeah, that series is actually kind of fun. Surprisingly, a lot of the places where you find like the genuine fun from cartoons these days comes from like these little kid cartoons. And I don't know what that says about like the general ecosystem, but it, like Bluey or the Sesame Street cartoons. Like I watch those and I go, oh, that's fun. I guess a good little time for all. And then I watch something from like Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network and I'm just like, Like,
Well,
like
also
what?
the new Chibi Godzilla stuff that's been coming out on Toho's YouTube channel lately. Oh my god, so cute! It is
Okay,
the
but
cutest thing.
that's a little. I mean, of course it's going to be cute. It's Chibi Godzilla, but again, like that's not that's not a cartoon. Like I'm talking about like American cartoons and like.
Oh, we're talking American cartoons. I thought you were talking about like little kid cartoons in general, because little kid cartoons in general are really,
but like
really
little
cute.
kid cartoons outside of America, you have more of that sort of like diversity of stuff, and I mean that like actual diversity, not like DEI, but like Shin-Chan is a kid's show, or you know, like Jujutsu Kaisen is technically a kid's show. All of this stuff where you have creators going in being genuine and having fun with whatever they're
Kamen
working
Rider,
on.
though. That's for adults.
Not Kamen. That is 100% for adults. That and Super Sentai.
you
If you're
tards
watching
don't
that
get
as a
that
kid,
one.
you guys got to go to bed. It's too. Do not be watching Saturday morning superhero hour
right.
on Toho TV.
That's
Do
for
not
dad, not you. That's for dad.
100%. My TV time. Saturday morning's my TV time.
You go wax the car.
Well, Cider, you saw those little chibi plushies. Those little chibi plushies say otherwise though about the latest iteration though.
Sure.
But yeah, this is the Sesame Street Mecha Builders. Fun. Again, I recommend it for like a kids thing. If you go watch it, you're not gonna get the deepest plot ever, if anything, but it'll put like a smile on your face. Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be, right? Like
well, that's what. But here's the thing, though. When we were growing up, though, that's what we had. Like a lot of these shows were just fun, just like shut off your brain, fun kind of shows. But now everything is just agenda.
See that's the problem, Nerdigans. Everyone shut off their brains for entertainment, and they forgot to turn it back on. And now we're here.
Well, Tumblr filled those brains, and now their brain is turned on, and that's all that's left is Tumblr.
Just activism. Yeah, 100%.
Well, and again, speaking of activism, here we are with the star.
Let's finally get to this.
What a great transition, huh?
Here is probably going to be one of our major topics for tonight. So, Furiosa, the Mad Max movie that nobody saw. So, first of all,
and people are pissed.
People are pissed, but they kind of have no standing. I saw it as well, so Jacob and I can probably talk about it for a little bit. But to address,
I can pretend I saw it.
I mean, you probably have already seen.
You and Nerdigans could just be our innocent bystanders.
Yeah, and just do the what? No, because there's a lot of that in this movie.
In an innocent side bystanders always make out. You're right.
Yeah,
that's exactly who you want to be in the Mad Max universe.
Yeah, exactly.
But for those who haven't seen the news yet, this past weekend, in case you guys didn't realize it, because I didn't realize it until like Sunday night, it was Memorial Day weekend. If you are not Ilhan Omar or Cori Bush, you remember that the day is for honoring those who have fallen in war and not are currently living veterans. If you don't know what that's about, go look up their tweets. It's really embarrassing. But
so stupid.
It was so dumb. But on Memorial Day, typically this is one of the biggest box office days for cinemas just of the year, right? 4-day weekend, summer is starting to kick off. And a lot of people a lot of like analysts and pundits look to this window for sort of a read of what we're going to get in the summer movie season, all that sort of fun stuff. Furiosa was the movie that I guess got the honor of leading the charge into the summer movie season. And everybody was promoting this movie. This movie was everywhere, big budget marketing promotion. You had it premiering at like Cannes Film Festival, or Cannes, how it's pronounced. You had major marketing campaigns. You had all of this stuff. And at the end of the day, it ended up taking not first place, but rather the lastest of places. And by posting the worst Memorial Day box office in history or in the last 43 years for a major leading Memorial Day film.
That's
so
older than everybody on this panel.
I know that's older than all of us. And honestly, the data doesn't even go back that far. I think if 1960 or whatever, like 63 is the year it like is the one true like Furiosa beat that movie, whatever it was, but it's like only that week, and then everything else is just abysmal, or like she undercuts all of it. Like she really flopped that one.
I
Were you
can't
gonna say,
wait to get
Jacob?
into
Yeah.
this because I have so many angles to attack this whole debacle from.
Oh man, we've got so much to attack this debacle from. But I think like before we get into like the meat of it, I think what I really want to point out are two things. One, a lot of outlets, a lot of mainstream outlets, when you can sort of see active damage control happening because when so in reading a lot of these reports about, Furiosa bomb, blah, 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 a lot of outlets mention this fact that, this is the worst performing Memorial Day film in 20 years. And it's like 20 years ago was like, what movie is it? It's, I don't even remember what it is, but basically they go, it's the worst in 20 years, unadjusted. And it's like, wait a minute, unadjusted? That's not how we run things here. If you adjust, so then if you would get like
now all of a sudden they acknowledge inflation.
Right. Well, like you have to acknowledge inflation because then that drops the movie by 20 spots. Like that is, or it adds an extra 20 years where it continues winning out. Oh, that's what it is. In 1995, the Casper movie, the Casper adaptation did only like, I know. It only did like 26 million at the box office. And so all of the outlets are going, oh, look, Casper did worse. That was the one that did worse. Don't worry, Furiosa, you're fine. And it's like, but if you adjust that for inflation, it didn't do worse. It made like $60,000 by our like current metrics.
Million.
Like that's, yeah, nobody's buying this one.
Yeah. Okay. So, where do we begin here? I think we need to go dial it back here to kind of figure out.
Just hit all of it. Like, there's just so much to hit here. We can just
smash
it all.
Obviously, this whole thing started with Mad Max Fury Road back in 2015, and this is a film that was very polarizing for its time period because you either had people who thought that this was literally the greatest action movie of all time, that this was peak cinema, and then you had other people who realized that, yeah, no, really this movie is just about them driving to one location for an hour, and then the second hour is them driving back from the location that they left in the first place, and that's like the whole film. But it was so polarizing because obviously it was a Mad Max film. Everyone who remembers the 1980s Mad Max franchise are like, oh, okay, so they're doing a reboot of Mad Max, and then it's like all of a sudden the center of the story was Furiosa and not really Max. Even though they had Tom Hardy in the film, you find out later on that it's like, well, he's not really as much as the focus as we were led to believe. The focus of the film is Furiosa. Now, remember, at the time that this happened, there was a lot of argument back and forth. People were vehemently defending the fact that, oh no, this isn't all about Furiosa. This isn't a bait and switch. You know, all you people out there trying to make it seem like this is all about strong female leads. You're just misogynist. And trust me, that whole line is going to come back around by the time we get to the end of this whole thing, right? So they swore to the death that this had absolutely nothing to do about putting Furiosa over Mad Max in his own movie, right?
Like, I'm just going to interject, and I'm probably just going to keep interjecting as you go because that's probably going to be the easiest way for us to hit everything. But like, to Jacob's point, like I will say I'm one of the people who didn't really have an issue with Furiosa being in the middle. Like, I went in, I saw the movie, I recognized like, okay, Mad Max 2 wasn't necessarily a Max movie. Let's just see the story they told. And I watched Fury Road and I enjoyed my time there. I thought it's like it's one of those movies that's like, it's good. I'm not going to write home about it, but it's pretty good. But it was after that, it was you have to admit, like, it was a bait and switch like that. At the end of the day, even I admit, like, okay, yeah, you said Mad Max and now we're focusing on her. Everybody, or like all of the usual suspects were going, no. Why are you calling it a bait and switch? That's not what this is at all. They were trying to actively gaslight you into thinking that didn't happen. It was a bizarre moment in cultural history.
Yeah, it was big too. And as time progressed here, this is when we started getting into the kind of the development of, hey, you know what we should do? We should have our very own Furiosa solo movie, which means that the decision was already internally made that, if this was a hit, that we would move forward with the Furiosa character, right?
Here's what actually happened with that. I actually did a little bit of digging, and it's worse than that because they said, at the time of Fury Road, George Miller, the director, Mad Max creator, said, I want to, at the same time I'm filming this movie, let's keep everybody here and do a Furiosa prequel movie. So that way we release Fury Road, and then a little bit down the line we release Furiosa, or vice versa, right?
9 years later.
9 years later. That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, George, Furiosa might have worked if you'd have released it within a year or two of Fury
Like
Road.
2017, 2018,
yeah.
somewhere around that
like,
time period.
This film is so late to like whatever cultural moment it could have latched onto. It's like Agatha. Like Agatha could have maybe been one of those like, oh, okay, whatever, it existed if you dropped that miniseries like a month after WandaVision. But now here we are like 7 years later, still waiting for it to come out, still being teased, and it's like, you guys have missed it. Like nobody cares about this anymore. That flash in the pan fan base you had they're not here. They're not. I don't know who you guys are looking for.
So, yeah, another thing you have to keep in mind too. Mad Max Fury Road, and we read these numbers last night, that film wasn't a financial success either, even though when it came out 9 years ago. Like, with the production budget that came out, I think it didn't even make like $400 million worldwide with the movie. Then when this production budget ended up losing about $40 million when it was all said and done. So you're trying to create a franchise spinoff based off of a movie that wasn't even financially successful 10 years ago. It's like, and I think what happened was, and we talked about this, that a lot of these people who are in these bubbles where they cut off any kind of communication with anyone who doesn't think exactly the way they do, they all gaslit themselves into thinking that Mad Max Fury Road was like this smash hit and everyone loved Furiosa and everyone was going to go out there to the movie theater to see this badass female character in the movie screen, because that's what they've been talking about in their circle for several years. They wouldn't allow anyone to come in and be like, hey guys, this thing really isn't that big of a deal as you guys are making it out to be. I don't think that this movie's going to hit the way you're saying that it is, because we can't have those misogynistic opinions around there. So what happened in the course of the next 10 years, they finally get a green light on this movie and they decide, okay, you know what, we're gonna once again do a Mad Max movie without Mad Max, but on top of that, we're not even gonna bring back the person who played the character in the first place. So Charlize Theron is now completely out of this whole situation, and we're gonna recast her with Anna Taylor-Joy, which I said this last night. I have yet to, I'll let you go, but I have yet to see a single film from her outside of Split that I have actually enjoyed.
And to your point, because I said this on the stream or in your chat last night, like I agree with that. And to me, the only thing I can really give Anya props for is like, I like her casting as Magic in New Mutants, but just the casting, like that movie is awful. Everything about it is awful. But when I see the character, I'm like, okay, good casting there. But like the thing, this is what makes me laugh so hard is that, okay, first of all, with the Charlize Theron thing, this movie, like a lot of prequel films, they'll be like, okay, we end the movie here, and then it's 5 years later when everything starts up, or like when we meet them again, right? So you can get that sort of believable jump. This movie ends literally at Charlize Theron's introduction in Fury Road. Like it's from the opposite camera angle of when you first meet her. So it's like, why is it not Charlize? Why is it Anya? I don't understand this. And this movie, this is what makes me laugh so hard, Jacob, is that this movie is another one of those examples where they try to front load like strong female protagonist movie, and then the side male character who barely exists, that's the showstopper. Because like for me, I don't even remember his name, the like solid snake looking guy she teams up with at the very end. Like that guy was cool and his story was interesting. And like for that, when I was watching that part of the movie, I was invested, and then he was gone, and I was like, all right.
But you see, that in and of itself is the problem here, because they're trying to front load this movie on the strong female lead, and you're more interested in the male supporting character who's only in the movie for like maybe a third of the entire runtime.
If that, yeah. Like I had to look, and he's barely in it, but he was absolutely the best part of it.
So up to this point, so keep in mind, these are all issues leading up to this movie in the first place. Like you have a movie that you've done between 10 years of a film that wasn't that successful 10 years ago, and you don't really have much of an audience. You're not bringing back anyone remotely associated with that film. It's all new people outside of the guy who played Mortan Joe, which we'll get to later on too.
Joe.
And now you're throwing in Chris Hemsworth in this movie too. And look, we have to be very, very honest here about Chris Hemsworth's body of work. It is almost universally trash. When you look back on all the films that he's been a part of, like, let's be honest, there's been a couple of Thor movies that have been absolute stinkers. So the Thor movies are not doing him any favors. He was in the Snow White and
agency punking him, Jacob? Is that what this
He's
is?
not-
Like they
he
got
has-
apparently he's
No,
choosing these films.
Yes,
That's the
yes,
problem.
yes. I was just about to say that. Bring that up. Oh man, because that's all.
Is
I
that
was
the
thinking about,
problem?
too.
It's nobody stepping in and be like,
Jacob
Chris,
knows.
you had a
Jacob
head
knows.
injury. Stop.
Yeah. But I'll get that one up here in a second. But just listen to these films here. It's like Snow White and the Huntsman, trash. Red Dawn, trash. He was in Black Hat, trash. He was in the second one. Ghostbusters 2016, trash. The Men in Black International, trash. Bad Times at El Royale, trash. He had
that one was trash.
He was in both Interceptor and what was the other movie? I think it was that was Spiderhead, but there was another like Netflix movie that he did that was really bad too.
Like Premium Rush or something. Oh no, I know what you're. Not Extraction. I mean that there is Extraction.
Well, I mean the first one was good. The second one
yeah.
not so much. Well, let's put it that
I didn't
way.
even
But
check that one out.
yeah, it doesn't pull off. And then now he has this one. So it's like he's been associated with a number of films that have just fallen apart. And he even said it himself here. I think I'm gonna bring this up here just so you guys can see it here for a second.
Yep.
Let me pull this up. There we go. He even said it himself that, he's attracted to these type of movies because he's a self-proclaimed feminist. And he was raised by his mother to be feminist. He finds something attractive about these movies where the female is the central character of the movie. So this is why this explains his whole filmography. This is why he's doing Men in Black International, because he's siding with Tessa Thompson. This is why he's in Ghostbusters 2016. This is why he's in Snow White and the Huntsman. This is why he's in Bad Times at El Royale. I think that was Dakota Johnson and another woman who was in that film too. This is why he's in like I said, Furiosa here, Love and Thunder. It's like these are films that he has agreed to be a part of, and each and every one of them just stinks. Like over and over again, they suck. And I think, does he have like the worst filmography of like all the Chris's that are involved in the MCU at this point?
I would genuinely say so, because like Evan still pulls out like an occasional good role. Like maybe not
like every like third or fourth role is decent.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Where
Evans is he's let's see, what was he in? I mean, I will admit I didn't like the movie, but his performance in like what was it, Knives Out, like he at least like committed and it was like entertaining to watch. Again, I don't like the movie, but at least watching him, I was like, okay, like you're all right, can't hate it. I mean, yeah, there's the one Jacob and I hate a lot, the Ghosted, which is just absolutely
that's
terrible.
bad. And then the one that Rick pretends to hate is the Gray Man.
The Gray Man, yeah, the one that he pretends to hate. But like, okay, so not only do I think that it's like Hemsworth's feminist choices that keep putting him in all of these bad decisions, but I came to this realization watching this movie: is he just not a good actor? Like, I watched his performance as whatever the Dementis or whatever his name is, and I was just like, this is not good. Like, this is a bad performance. You are making me actively not enjoy this movie. Like,
it's really because he's trying to play an over the top character, like he's trying to be like charismatic, like with this performance here, and he's just not that type of actor. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, like, he has charisma when he's just being like goofy Thor, but when you try to take him out of that element and try to do that in and of itself, it just doesn't come off well. Like, another good example of this is a film called Spiderhead, what he did with Miles Taylor a couple years ago. That film is not like bad, but it's another role where he's trying to like separate himself from like the MCU. It's just like, dude, this is just not it. Like, it really just isn't it at this point.
Yeah, like the character, I think you hit it like really well there, where it's like, he is trying to be like over the top, like, oh, I'm a character. And it's like in Mad Max, the characters, like, they define themselves in the wasteland, not by their like, ooh, I'm so zany, but it's like, because you are like messed up. Like, this is like real. And he was just like, I felt like his character in Furiosa was just his Love and Thunder Thor on like steroids. And it was annoying.
You know what it is? It's like he's watching like the Fury Road, and it's like, oh, there's a guy playing a guitar that shoots flames. It's like, I gotta be just as over top as crazy as these people.
Right.
And it's like,
but like, yeah, it's like a different, because like that guy is like, he's a fanatic. Like, they're like hopped up on drugs, they're running into battle. His but he, instead of like playing it like that, he just plays it as like, I'm goofy. Aren't I so over the top and random?
I mentioned this like last night too. It's like his introduction to his character. It's like at first he's like shown as like a Jesus figure to like these people that are in like the wasteland. So he's like kind of like this calm, calculated type figure. And then like immediately after that sign,
So
goofball character. It's like his introduction and then the progression of the rest of the movie makes no sense whatsoever.
But you know what? Someone brought this up in the chat that this is very much like Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt is like this too, where Chris Pratt is just Chris Pratt. He does, or Star-Lord. He does his Star-Lord role over.
I mean,
and you have the same thing with Seth Rogen as well. Seth Rogen does it.
Seth doesn't even do a role. Yeah, Seth doesn't even do a role. Seth does himself.
And Nerdigans is even wrong with what she says, but I mean that's kind of what all of these like big stars in Hollywood are. I mean, let's be very honest. Like, is Ryan Reynolds different in any film that he's in at this point? Is he just playing the same person in every movie?
Dude,
is the Rock any different in any of the movies that he's in?
When Ryan Reynolds started out, like in The Notebook and some of his other roles, he wasn't like that. He was playing different characters
because he couldn't afford to at the time.
Right? Yeah. Dude, if you want. On your topic of like does Hemsworth have the worst filmography of the Chris's? Like, look at Ryan. Like, if we want to talk about like big celebrities with awful like filmographies, Ryan Reynolds hasn't been in a good film since like Deadpool 1, and I mean that like Hobbs and Shaw, Free Guy, The Adam Project. Like, none of these are good movies, and yet he's still here. He's still going. Like. I like looked at it here. I'm gonna pull it up because
I mean, like I said, Red Notice, The Adam Project.
Something I have to wonder though is that I have to wonder if part of it is more so a director issue than anything else. Because if
I would have, or keep going, keep going.
Because like for example, with voice acting, for example, a lot of it falls on the voice direction. Because you could have like a bunch of great voice actors up in there, but they could sound like absolute crap because of what the direction that they're given. So that's why I'm wondering, because you have some great actors in some of these movies, but God, their acting could be complete crap. So that's why I'm wondering if this is directing.
That does happen a lot, Nerdigans. Like, you're not wrong. Like, I mean, Jacob is like probably the biggest proponent of that. What do you want? Like that saying of like, it's not your actors. They're only doing what the directors like a bad performance is the director's fault. It's not the actors. They're only working.
Yeah, I mean, because you could tell like a lot of these performances, it's like they're being directed to act a certain way because it's the director telling them to act this way, like to basically be stoic with like no charisma. That's more on the director than it is on the actor. Like if they're told to be like this on purpose, then that's on the director of the movie.
And so, like, I think with Ryan Reynolds, I don't think it's necessarily the director. I think I think there are two things at play. One, a lot of these films get a big actor like him and go, it's Ryan Reynolds. Let him do what he's doing. He's the professional. Like, he's the big guy. And then, I think Ryan Reynolds just sort of ad-libs a lot and just sort of goes in and does what he does.
I mean,
and nobody pushes back.
Well, when you really look at it, especially with Ryan Reynolds, like, what was it? X-Men Wolverine was the best and worst thing that happened to him because it was an absolutely terrible movie. But let's be honest, if he wasn't Deadpool in that movie, even though they ruined Deadpool in that movie, if he wasn't already in that film and they didn't have the idea of, hey, if we're going to do a Deadpool movie, let's just bring this guy back. Like, where's his career at this point if they didn't decide to bring him back to Deadpool years after the fact?
Like look at that's what I'm saying. Like, look at what we have here. He goes in for Origins. Then you have like very random, like smaller, like rom-com type things. You have a couple voice roles here with the Croods and Turbo. You have this awful R.I.P.D. Adaptation. I don't know if anybody saw it. It's not good, despite the fact that it's like based on a really good comic book and it's got a great, like, it's got Jeff Bridges. Then you have like,
they just wanted to do Men in Black, but with
with ghosts. Yeah. But then, if you look at this, it wasn't going great until you hit Deadpool. And then even here, like, Life is not that great of a movie. Hitman's Bodyguard is
It's
fun,
not
I
that
guess,
great of
but-
life is not that great of a movie, but the ending is absolutely amazing. If you guys have not
Yes.
seen that film,
Yes,
it's just great. But Hitman's Body, those movies are awful. Like
They
those
are
movies,
really bad.
like dude, Selma Hayek shoving her boobs in your face for 2 hours does not save that movie at all. It is like historically
You will
bad.
be like looking at your watch, like, okay, are we done? Here,
Like,
Selma?
okay,
Like,
move
is
on,
everything
Grandma.
good?
Like, we're done. Yeah.
But yeah, like, see, like since Deadpool, what is this? He's had Life, Hitman's Bodyguard. Okay, Detective Pikachu. I liked that one, but that's because I'm a
Someone
poker
has
sucker.
to.
Like, yeah, I'm a loser. I'm a mark. I'll take that. But then
Mark.
you have like Hobbs and Shaw, Six Underground, another Hitman's Wife.
And a lot of
Bodyguard.
these
Was
movies
that-
are like glorified cameos. Like he's not even really in the movie. Like he'll show up like in the last 2 minutes and film
Right.
something,
Well,
and then yeah.
That Six Underground was like their half-assed attempt at cloning Fast and the Furious, right?
Well, it was a
I don't
Michael
even
Bay
remember
movie.
what it was. It was. Oh, that's right. It was Michael Bay. Yeah, I guess it probably was Fast and the Furious ripoff. I didn't. Wasn't this like Netflix? I feel like it was like Netflix.
Yep, it was Netflix.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't check it out because I'm like, oh, it's a Netflix movie. All right, I know where that's gonna go. But then yeah, and then you have like Adam Project, Bullet Train, which is another just cameo. Ghosted. If like he doesn't have that great of a career, it's pretty baffling. Deadpool is probably objectively the best role he's got here. Like it's got the best,
and if he wasn't in X-Men Origins, he wouldn't even have been Deadpool. So, like I said, that movie was like the best and worst thing that happened to his career.
So we got Snakes in the chat, and he says Jeff Bridges being a hot girl was the best part of that R.I.P.D. movie, and they barely did anything with that running joke.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's exactly like what Cider said, right? Like all of the unique concepts in that movie, which there are a lot of, like the setup moments, like at the very beginning when you're learning about the world, like that's interesting. And then they sort of just all throw it to the side so that you can have generic, like, oh, we've been double crossed, police business, and then it just, yeah, you go, okay, I'm bored
CGI ghost doing CGI ghost thing. You
and that
wanted
was 2013
story?
CGI. Yeah, that's when the CGI was particularly rough.
So I don't know how we got off on this tangent, but we
I
just
don't know
like
how we
spent
got
the
to
last
Ryan
5
Reynolds
minutes
either,
like destroying Ryan Reynolds' career. Oh yeah, Chris Hemsworth. That was the guy
that's
because we were destroying his career. But yeah, so he's just been in a bunch of bad movies, and this is another one to add to the list here. So, like I said, you're doing a girl power movie with Furiosa, but your lead actress, who, like I said, is a replacement from the actress in the last movie, she doesn't even show up in this film until the hour portion of the movie, which is like 2.5 hours. No, Anna Taylor-Joy does not actually appear in this film until an hour into the runtime.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so like the best way I can equate this, and I don't think you've seen the movie, Cider, but you've at least like heard recaps of it. No, I don't mean this one. I mean what I'm going to use as an example. So Black Widow. Imagine if they go, oh, Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson film. She's the lead. You want to come see Natasha? That's what we're doing. And then the first hour and a half of that movie was just that extended scene in the beginning with Red Guardian and like the girl, like the little kid version of Natasha. And then Natasha shows up at like, the halfway point. It's really, really weird. And they even do like 2 actress changes for Furiosa because they start with her as like a little kid and then like a teenager, and then they get to Anya. It's so weird.
It makes no sense. And then, to be honest with you, the little girl who plays Furiosa was better than
I liked her. She was cool.
So the whole concept of this movie, this prequel movie to Mad Max, is that so Anna Taylor-Joy's Furiosa here is a character who came from a what was the name of the land that she was from? Like something of something Mothers. Do you happen to recall the exact? The Green Place of Many Mothers. That's the name of the land.
The Green Place. That's right.
Well, which is basically just a land of like a bunch of women, and they have like water and green stuff. So they're trying to protect their land from the evil men who are the raiders who just want to like take all their resources because they're crazy and
white men, sir. The evil
white man, I should say. But so then she gets kidnapped by Chris Hemsworth's character, who decides to raise her as her own. But then of course he kills her mother as of course this. So this turns into like almost like a 30-year like revenge story about how she just wants to get revenge on Chris Hemsworth because she I mean, he killed her mom like years ago, right? But then she goes to the Immortan Joe's place, and it's like, oh, a girl, I wanted to make her my wife, so I'll let you guys take half my resources if you let me have the little girl. And then there's like this weird like scene where Nathan Jones like attempts to rape like a 13-year-old girl that felt very, very uncomfortable and now to play, especially given the context and the landscape of Hollywood as well. So it's just like, yeah, I don't really know about this whole thing, but so in order to avoid being raped by Nathan Jones, all of a sudden she decides, okay, well, I'm going to shave my head like one of the boys and basically just pretend to be a boy while I'm here. That way no one will notice like who I am. And supposedly that works. Nobody noticed that this girl who's clearly a girl with a shaved head, it just goes around with like one of the boys. It's like no one ever catches her peas and standing up.
Like she is way out of that range where you could look at her and be like, that might just be like a prepubescent boy. Like she's way out of it. You look at her face and you're like, you're a woman. There's no. Like you're
and she's wearing like this scarf so that you can like only see her eyes, and that's why she covers up all of her feminine features. But even after a while, it's like no one's seen this person with her scarf the entire time, the years that she was there.
Yeah, it was weird. It was very stretching, or like stretching believability.
And then when we get to, like I said, finally when we actually get to see Anna Taylor-Joy as Furiosa, and then it's revealed, oh, wait a minute, she's a woman. It's like, then it's like, there's no real reaction to it. Like, you think that she's going to be like in trouble or that her cover's been blown or something like that. And then it's just like, it's no big deal. Like, it really doesn't even come back around like later on here. So it's like, well, then did she only do that just to avoid being raped? Like, she wasn't like trying to do that to avoid, like, I don't know, being recaptured by the person she escaped from all those years? Or it just doesn't really matter that much at the end of the day. So
it really doesn't.
Only sloths. Yeah, exactly. But look, I'm gonna say this here too. I mentioned this last time. Maybe you guys think a little different than me. I don't know. I don't get the whole Anna Taylor-Joy thing is like her being attractive. It's like she has a weird face, and then she's had so much bad plastic surgery over the last couple of years has made it worse. It's like she doesn't come off to me as like sexy sex symbol actress like in any way, shape, or form.
I think before all of her surgery, I think she had that sort of like a fairy type like atmosphere almost to her. Like, I don't know what the right word I'm looking for is, but like I look at her and I'm like, you're pretty in a very like magical I don't even know. Again, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but like you're pretty, not conventionally, but I can see it. I get
you're pretty like a unicorn.
Like you have fairy dust and you sparkle, but like nowadays, I don't get it. I think she looks awful now. Like she's had way too much like lipo and everything. It's bad.
Yeah, and she's gotten like that whatever that procedure knew when they're sucking the fat out of their face and they look like a skeleton now.
Buckle fat or whatever.
Yeah,
I bet somebody.
And trust me, she's gotten worse than this. I don't even think that's like a recent picture of her. So,
no, this is like a year or two ago at this point.
Yeah, it's, I don't know like why. But just stop messing with your face, ladies. Like, I don't know how many times I have to say this because I feel like I've said this a lot. Stop messing with your face.
The actress who plays actress who plays Starlight in The Boys got that surgery, and I'm like, why would you do that? Selena Gomez got that. Like, I don't know. Men like the buccal fat. It's like a little dimple. I don't know. Just stop. Listen to Jacob. Stop messing with your face.
Stop trying to look like a skeleton demon thing. Like, it's not attractive. Like, just stop. But yeah, so she
took her role in The Witch way too seriously.
Really seriously, right? So yeah, I mean, the core of this film, just real quick, the core of this movie, that's a bad one. The core of this movie is essentially Chris Hemsworth's character in sort of like this turf war for resources with Immortan Joe, and that's kind of the central plot of this. So they tried to, I guess, kind of alleviate the problems with Fury Road, where it was like, they were complaining that there's so much action and there was no story, so now we're going to tell a little bit more story, and the story part was better in a sense, but like I said, Furiosa, for a character who you tried to replace Mad Max with in this film, kind of felt like a secondary character in her own movie. And in all honesty, she wasn't really the most captivating character to begin with. It's like the whole plot of her, she's like, oh, I want revenge on Chris because he killed my mother. And then it's like, you can only really stretch that out for like, so long. This is a 2.5 hour movie. and you're trying to get over, like, let's be honest, if you don't really care about Furiosa's mother, like, the entire emotional thread of this film just completely falls apart.
Hold on a second. Can you please remove the horse face off of the screen? It's really disturbing.
Which one? Yeah, that's the sea biscuits back, people. But no,
and it's not Sarah Jessica Parker either.
No, not at all. Well, I mean, it's like Sarah Jessica Parker is like 70 now, so at least she has kind of an excuse for looking like a dead horse. But I mean,
Sarah Jessica Parker naturally looked like that, and it wasn't plastic surgery.
And Europeans loved her.
Yeah, Sarah Jessica Parker is a woman who I like to say is unfortunately Jewish and in the face. Let's put it that way. So.
Well, we're going to immediately sidetrack out of that. Leslie Tarkin asked a question, made a statement a little earlier that I wanted to address. She said, I never understood the appeal of any of the Mad Max movies. Now, I know you've heard the term male power fantasy before. And so not a lot of guys get a chance to, tear ass across a wasteland in the Southern Hemisphere and just destroy biker gangs and, Whitney Houston's Nito. It was Whitney Houston, right? That was the lady.
No, wasn't that? I know you're talking about, but it definitely was not Whitney Houston. It was somebody else.
Hip hop.
It wasn't the chick who was married to like Dolph Lundgren back in the day. I can't remember her name, but I can see her face.
Hip hop black lady that ran Thunderdome. Yeah, the pig shit lady. Yeah. That beat the ass off of those people. We have this fantasy of like carrying out justice, wherever we go, and you see this in the stories that we tell. Like Star Wars is about carrying out like a legacy of justice, if you will, of generational justice, and then you see in Lord of the Rings, you're seeing sort of like God's justice being exacted upon Sauron. So. This is Mad Max falls into this line of like men wish to imagine themselves as the hero. You meet Max and he is a cop in a post-apocalyptic world where nuclear war, what's hinted at is nuclear war, but it's not relating to Max. He doesn't come across any warfare. There are no battle lines. There's no burnt out giant robots. He's just trying to take care of a stretch of highway. It seems to be his only focus. And it appears to be an incredibly violent stretch of highway. And finally, when every vestige of Max's world that he lives to protect is stripped away from him as his son and wife are run down by bikers, he snaps. And the one thing that remains redeemable about Max, even when he's at his lowest, is he's still a cop. His mission is to protect and serve. Even when he's hungry, even when he's sharing dog food with a dog, Max lives to serve. And men love that. We love that guy. He's not quite a hero, but he's also not a villain. Max makes sure that kids survive, and he punishes adults for being bad, And
I think you just described the picture perfect, like, the problem with a lot of these like girl power movies is like they're trying to take what is the male fantasy and market that to women, and it doesn't work because that's not the female fantasy. The female fantasy is not to be like a one-armed shaved head, like, super badass in this post-apocalyptic dystopian future. Like that's not something that women dream about being like in their mind. So you're creating quite literally a property that appeals to no one because you've told your male audience that we don't want your male gaziness, your male fantasies, your misogynistic fantasies anymore. But then the women at the same time is like, yeah, but we don't want this either. So it's like, who exactly are you making this from? Outside of a bunch of film Twitter critics who are going to be like, oh, this movie's so amazing. You guys don't deserve this movie.
Yeah, exactly.
You're muted. Yeah. Yeah.
2 layers of muted.
2 layers
Double
of mute.
muted.
Oh, I didn't realize I muted myself there. I don't even know what I was going to say anymore. Keep going.
Mad Max.
It was Mad Max something, and it was going off of what Jacob said. It'll come to me in like 2 seconds.
Okay. I just want to explain too that like Mad Max has a rich world enough, and this is what kind of teased me off about the movie. Why I didn't have any interest in it is that it world builds. And one of the things about Max is that Red Letter Media talked about this. Max's stories are fables. It is the same story told over and over and over again. But as time passes, Max becomes more mythical in the story. Max begins as a cop that loses his family. In the second movie, he's out saving a group of survivors from a gang
warrior.
he's saving from a gang of like really bad people that want to do terrible things to these people, you know. And then in the third one, he's saving children and slaves from an encampment where they're being abused. And so this is Max's role as a liberator outgrows his original purpose. So it's okay that Furiosa gets her own story, is what I'm trying to get at. The problem is that Furiosa is not separate from Max. The story of Furiosa could have been Max's. That's the trouble with this whole thing. They did not tell you Furiosa's story. They told you Max with boobs missing his left arm. They didn't give you a unique tale. They just made a hard woman, and that's it. Had they taken Furiosa from a vastly different perspective, instead of being a vengeful angel, because this is what Max is. When we strip away the femininity of the word angel, and you actually embrace what Max is doing, he is an avenging angel. He's a vengeful force of justice. And so...
Well, this is the problem, right? Because we talked about this in wrestling a lot, too. This is what we like to call giving someone the rub. Here's what they thought in their minds this whole thing was going to play out. It's like, okay, well, we have this character in Mad Max. The people love Mad Max. So if we set up Mad Max, the character in this one movie, and then bring in this other character who we really want to push, then they'll take the rub that they'll get off of the male character roll over the Furiosa, and everyone's going to love Furiosa just as much as they love Mad Max. And then we can move forward with a Furiosa franchise moving forward. That's how they thought this whole thing was going to work, like in their mind.
10 years later.
Exactly. 10 years later, when everyone is pretty much died off this hype, and they're like, oh, wait, there's a Furiosa movie, and then the actress who was in the last movie isn't in it, and then there's absolutely no Mad Max in this film whatsoever. Yeah, I think I'm going to pass. But in their minds, in their bubble, it's like, you know what? We're going to give this movie $170 million production budget and do even double for the marketing. So this film has to make somewhere between $500 and $600 million worldwide just to break even. I think it's at like 70 right now.
70 the last time I checked on it. It was 70. Like,
yeah,
it is not
and it's been almost a full week, and it's only made 70 million worldwide.
For comparison, and I love bringing this up, the main competitor for Furiosa this past weekend was the animated Garfield movie. One, how many of you even knew that was like out this week? Like I think everybody knew it was being made, but who knew it was out? Like I was blown away to know that it was already in theaters. But second, like to that budget point, Garfield has made at Memorial Day, like when all was said and done, Furiosa had ended the 4-day weekend with $32 million, and Garfield ended with $31.1 million. Now the difference was that Garfield only cost like 15,000, 20,000, or 20 million to make, or whatever it is, like something very low. It's already made back like most of its budget. Furiosa, like Jacob said, 170 just for the movie, and then whatever, like double that at least for the marketing.
Yeah, so Garfield's budget was only $60 million. It's at $100 million worldwide right now, so it's likely going to make its money back when this run is completely over. And there's more secondhand buzz for Garfield right now than there is for Furiosa, because Garfield is completely surpassed that. It's already made like $30 million more. But then this just goes to show you, like, people did not do their research. The first movie, Mad Max Fury Road, only did $45 million this opening weekend. It was second to Pitch Perfect 2.
Yes. Yeah. Pitch Perfect, by the way.
I like that movie.
Pitch Perfect, by the way. A juggernaut
the worst.
in the movie theaters.
Pitch Perfect blew people away.
Okay, hold on. Spencer has... there's a good reason to know anything about the Pitch Perfect universe, okay? Because that movie is catnip to women born in the millennial age. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the lesbian wet noodle thing that they've got. thing there, but that it's catnip, gentlemen. If you're having trouble persuading a lady, put Pitch Perfect on. Let it handle the rest.
If you go out to a social function and you just start the like, or whatever it is from that Cup song, you will get like every woman in the room will be like, "Oh my God, Cups! Like I know that. I'm in for that."
Yo, guess what happened? Guess what happened? You're never gonna believe.
Okay, so you guys are talking about the Pitch Perfect movie, and I'm like, bro, I love that Vin Diesel movie, and I love the Riddick movies as well. And I'm like, hold on, this is a different movie. What are you talking about? How do you like
Pitch Perfect? Oh,
yeah, no, it's
Pitch Black,
right? So the first one, and I was like, yeah,
they're making a new one of those. Did you see that? They actually announced that they're making a new one.
What, a new Riddick?
A new Riddick, yeah.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like Vin's a little old, like at this point.
I don't know.
Okay, hey, I'm not. Wait. I'm not saying anything about Leslie Tarkin. Okay, I'm just saying she hasn't seen the film, guys.
Leslie.
I'm just saying.
Which means that she is more of a man than anyone else on this podcast right now, sadly.
Whatever. That Australian fat girl is hilarious in that movie because she is completely unaware of how much they're making fun of her throughout the whole script.
It's got Haley Steinfeld.
That's a joke. It's a bad joke. Oh, the fat Australian girl. Oh, Russell Crowe.
I forget he's Australian. I forget that.
So
I don't know why.
He's Australian.
Everybody thinks he's Scottish.
Yeah. So many fights.
He's been a Scot so many times.
Around the world.
But yeah, no.
You know Riddick's first name is Richard, by the way. I just want to throw that out there because I learned that the other day. It like they released the movie announcement and it was like Vin Diesel returns to the role of Richard Riddick, and I'm like, what? What?
Richard?
And and I'm just like, this is awful. Like you shouldn't have.
This summer, prepare yourself for Dick Riddick.
That's what I was. That's what I was thinking. I can't get it out of my head now. Like your character is Dick Riddick. Like.
Dick Riddick returns to that solar prison that burned his balls off in the first movie. Revenge is served cold by Dick Riddick.
That's probably going to be the tagline. I'm not even surprised. I would not be surprised if that's what happens.
Dick Riddick feels like the name a lawyer gives himself. Like, I'm Dick Riddick, and I'll get you the money you deserve after you got ran over by an 18-wheeler.
That's what I mean. Like, that's exactly what.
Have you been in an accident?
It's not the guy who goes like goggles on and like Draxes everything. Like it is cinco.
Imagine how this would have worked out, right? So you've got like the necromonger guys. I guess that's what they were, the necromongers. Anyway, the guys with the fancy helmets.
No idea.
In the Riddick movie, and like see Carl Urban's character, and he shows up and he says, "So they tell me you're Dick. You're the mighty Dick, are you?" You know.
It's
Dick Riddick sounds like the name of someone who owns like a Honda lot somewhere in the middle.
Come on down to Dick Riddick's used Honda lot. We got
dude,
deals.
that's the license plate frame. It says like Riddick's Honda or whatever. Oh, hell
we'll take you out of the red, put you in the pitch black.
Its license plate says Dick Rid.
Dick Rid.
It's also probably the reason why Marvel is actually sitting on a Nova movie, right? Because Dick Ryder a Nova cool saga, and there you go.
Richard Ryder,
flaming Dick.
Yeah, a flaming Dick Ryder. They need to make that movie.
Dick
See, here's
Riddick.
the problem though, Josh.
Wow.
Like
this is the reason why I know. Hold on.
You see, this is the problem. Like, this is why Hollywood doesn't do pitch meetings anymore, because all it takes is like one person to just roast a name and a pitch meeting be okay. We got to change his name. This is not going to work.
Well,
they can avoid Dick Riddick. But anyway, Josh,
they don't really have to worry about that though, because if you get wait, hold on, is it female Galactus or female Silver Surfer? You're gonna rename and make her a woman as well, Nova. It's probably gonna be a woman. That's how you get like past the thing.
Here's what they're gonna do. I absolutely know what they're gonna do now. Now that you brought that up, it won't be a woman. It'll be the Mexican kid that they made Nova for like in 2014. But then he'll be the one who like gets the helmet and goes out into space. But then he meets Dick Ryder and he's like, whoa, you're the Nova, like, and he learns from him or whatever. But this is the MCU, so every second will be a joke about like, Dick Ryder, your name is Dick Ryder. That's so funny. And this is Dick Ryder, and it's just like, okay, now the joke isn't funny anymore.
It's like the what was the
Dick Ryder and Dick Riddick team up this fall on a CBS original show made for children.
It's a Disney Plus original. Let's be clear. Okay, we got to get our networks correct. I mean, at this rate, Disney already has a Night Bitch on their schedule, so why stop there?
Yeah, so I think it's the last angle of this is just all the people who convinced themselves that this film was going to be a hit. It really starts with the studio because they honestly thought that this film was going to be like the kickoff for the summer box office season. It's like everyone's out of school now. Everyone's going to run out to the movie theaters and watch Furiosa. They put almost $200 million in production behind this film. They put it in the perfect summer box office spot. They thought this was going to be a smash hit. What was it? Warner Brothers was behind this. They thought everyone was going to rush out to go see this, and it just did not happen, like, at all. It was like, once people got, and keep in mind, the film, at least in like the film Twitter circles, like Rotten Tomatoes, got somewhat positive reviews. So it wasn't like everyone saying, "Oh, this movie is dog shit. I hate this film." People generally just did not care about this movie. Like, no one was moved by anything that happened with this film. And then as the box office numbers became a reality, and it's like, okay, this film is definitely going to bomb. Then all of these like people, these nerds on film Twitter, which is most of them men, shocker, were all like, "Oh, I can't believe that you sexist incels didn't go out there and watch this movie. You don't deserve a movie like Furious. This is one of the greatest movies that I've seen. I saw it in D-Box. Do you know the D-Box in my neighborhood? I saw it in D-Box. This movie was amazing." It's like all of these idiots just made it like significantly worse because they started like just throwing like whatever they had at the people who refused to go see this movie. It's like, oh yeah, that's gonna make people walk out of their house and spend $20 at a movie theater just on the ticket alone, just so they can sit there for 2.5 hours and watch a movie star Anna Taylor-Joy.
I think movie theaters or like movie studios are going to learn this lesson hard now. It's like our economy is a dog shit. As much as Biden wants to gaslight everybody and say we're back, baby, or whatever.
This is the greatest economy ever.
But that's the problem. These same people are trying to gaslight everyone and thinking, "Oh no, everything's great now. Everything's just amazing. This is a great time." Before they call Biden, it's the Biden boom, everyone. And now like reality setting in that people are actually struggling a lot because you guys have been lying for 4 years.
One of the a really disingenuous argument I've seen, it might be from a film Twitter person, I don't know it, but I just saw it come across my feed, was like, "Oh, what is everybody complaining about? Movies are too expensive. Like, tickets are still about $15 to $20. It's like, yes, on paper, but what has inflation done? What is like actual buying power? Like that $15 is now like $30, $50 like in buying power. Like that's not an argument. It's worse. Like I'm not going to go spend money on an okay so-so film when I need to, go somewhere or maybe like
I need to
repair something. Yeah, exactly. Like
now, we didn't find out from Josh what his thoughts are about this Mad Max debacle. He showed up a little late here. Now, Josh, you're aware that Furiosa's in this and Max isn't, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. What do you mean?
I'm talking to you.
We're talking about the Mad Max movie. Where's your thoughts on Mad
You're
Max
aware
flopping?
that Furiosa's in this and Max isn't, right?
Well, so the thing is that it's
actually he is.
Well, you know,
he's a blink and you miss it cameo. Like he's not in the movie. I'm just being completely pedantic.
I don't know. Yeah, I figured. No, so here's the thing though, and it's the same thing that I was joking about yesterday during Jacob's stream. This was still based on a character that is a bait and switch in the previous movie. So it's like you're still getting Rey Skywalker or Rey Palpatine in the Star Wars movie when you want to see Luke Skywalker, you want to see all of these characters that you just grew up with, and just given bait and switch, and you have to like it because it's the whatever female character that they're trying to push, because Gerbo's character, and because they're trying to push this new actress, Anna whatever her name is.
Anya Taylor, no joy.
That one, and it's just I have no interest in watching this movie, but not because she's in it, but it's just because it doesn't really look interesting.
It's not.
It just
like
doesn't.
at the end of the day, I think that's like gonna hurt everything more than the mistiming, more than the economy. Is like this movie is just boring. Like Jacob can back me up on this. Like there is a fight on a war rig, like in the very beginning. I think it's the first one. No, I don't even remember who it is. Like the very first like action sequence is really cool. And then everything after that is just like very slow, very nothing. I was legitimately bored during this movie, and that doesn't happen very often.
Is this one doing the same thing with like everything is happening? There's no CGI, whatever, or like minimal CGI.
No, that's the problem. Like they said, like there's obviously a lot of practical stuff, but Jacob, I know he mentioned this last night, like there are still very apparent, like in your face CGI moments that you just go like, what the fuck is happening here? Like the one that stood out to me, the one that was like the most egregious is when Chris Hemsworth at one point, he's like searching the desert for Furiosa, and in his search, he's like, okay, get out, boys. And he like goes to the back of his truck and he opens like a cage and he lets out like 3 pit bull bloodhound things to like start sniffing. They're all CGI. Like, it was like for no reason. And then I was just like, what the hell are we doing here? That's like the main appeal of Fury Road that everybody gave it credit for. Yeah, was like, oh, it's all real, it's all practical. And now it's just very CGE. And it's just not impressive. I don't know. It wasn't that cool.
What's the production budget for both of them?
For this movie, it was 170. I want to say the first one was probably somewhere around the same number too.
Right. So I'm trying to think if CGI is actually more expensive these days than practical.
I mean, it's got to be because I mean, look at all these Marvel films. These Marvel films are shot entirely on blue screen for 2.5 hours, are like almost $300 million to produce because they're basically creating the entire movie in post production now.
Yes,
like that's the reason why they're all so expensive. So you have to ask yourself, God, if they actually spent some time to build some of the sets ourselves, we probably could save money than just having be like, oh, we'll just send the slave over here in Korea to CGI Nick Fury's apartment because we can't even have a closed set for an apartment anymore in 2024 Marvel.
The budget for Fury Road was somewhere around like 160 million. So it was probably about on that same par, right? Probably a little less. But that movie ended up doing great. This one did not. I saw. So there's this analyst outlet in Hollywood. They're called Gower Street, and they're like the big outlet that does all the box office predictions, yada yada yada. They were like, oh, based on the like we expect Furiosa to open to 100+ million based on the performance of Fury Road. And I just straight up like my jaw, I think I said out loud to like either myself or my dogs, I was like, what the hell are they smoking? Like there's just no way that could ever, just even if everybody was rushing out for this movie, it's not going to break that. It's just,
that's a WTF right there.
It is one of the more baffling statements I ever like read from Hollywood. Like how disconnected do you have to be to think that is what's going, your 10-year late movie is going to pull in an opener of 100 million. I don't even remember the last movie that did 100 million in its opening. Probably
Barbie, maybe.
Yeah, probably Barbie, maybe.
Hi,
Whatever. The authorities got him.
But I mean, like I said, they gaslit themselves into thinking this movie was going to be a smash hit, and then reality hit them very, very quickly. Like I said, these people cannot come to any realization whatsoever that, hey, maybe it's the fact that this movie just wasn't that interesting, that maybe people didn't care about Furiosa as much as we thought that they did, or, hey, maybe it's just not a good movie. It's like, no, we have to attack the fan base because it's their fault. They're probably a bunch of sexist trolls that can't handle a strong female lead. So now you're attacking people for refusing to watch your dog crap movies because that makes sense when you're in the bubble over there in Hollywood.
Because to them, shaming is the best technique. So if they go, you're a bad person. Oh, you didn't watch Furiosa? You're a bad person, like morally. The people in their bubble will go, oh shit, I am. I need to go see this movie so that I can, do the proper politic, like so I can have the right consumption. It's really
so I can go on Twitter and talk about how great the movie is, so that people can see me talk about how great the movie is and realize I'm a good person.
That's exactly what it is. And it's just like, but everybody who goes and sees it, like, it's boring. It's just a boring movie. Like, I have no other
2.5 hours. Which I think it's like 30 minutes longer than Fury Road was.
Wait, how long did you say? 2 hours and what?
It's 2 hours and 30 minutes for Furiosa. Then Fury Road, I think, was roughly 2 hours.
Yeah,
so it's definitely way longer than.
It's way longer for like nothing. And that's sort of like what I came to realize while you were talking, Jacob, is like the cool parts in this movie are the parts that are like Mad Maxy stuff, like the chases, like the war stuff. But then once you try to take like a very personal plot into this, it just makes it all, I don't know, weird. Like, it gets boring, especially when I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying. I feel like I'm just going in circles at this point. It's just a boring adventure. There's nothing really going on there. Chris Hemsworth his villain doesn't even become interesting until the very, very end. And even then, it's like just that last fight. He's kind of cool. And then, yeah, who was this for? I'm not entirely sure. I mean, it was for Film Twitter, I guess.
Film Twitter. That's literally who this film is for, because apparently they were the only ones that loved it.
It's not just this film that's for Film Twitter. It's like the majority of films since like 2016 coming out is for Tumblr and Film Twitter.
I mean, you're making movies for the bubble, and Leslie Tarkin asked me a question earlier saying which movie is worse, Furiosa and Babes. Babes, there better not be 3 movies this year that is worse than Babes. Because if there is, we are in so much trouble when it comes to Hollywood.
We've at least gotten like 2 weeks out, and you haven't replaced it yet, which means you're doing far better than last year.
Yeah, where it was like a worse movie like every other week. It was like, oh, something came out that was even worse. Like, there better not be 3 more movies this year that are worse than Babes, or we are in trouble. Like, you think that the box office is in trouble because Furiosa didn't make any money? If there's 3 more movies worse than Babes, the entire industry might not recover.
Eccentric Banana asks, will Furiosa be nominated for a Razzie?
I don't see anything in there that's particularly bad enough to be Razzie nominated, so probably not.
I don't see Razzie, but what I do unfortunately see is either some nomination for like Best Supporting Act, like at the Academy Awards, because
I can see this movie getting nominated for like some special effects only because it's George Miller and they feel like by proxy they have to give him something, but that's about it.
I think they're gonna try and put
honestly
accolades on this film, but yeah,
I think that's exactly what happened with Fury Road. It's like Fury Road got a bunch of Academy Award nominations for its visual effects, and that's probably what made a lot of people think that it was a much better movie than it actually was. It was like, oh, look at all these Oscars that it won, and not realizing it was all for technical like visuals, like it wasn't for like actual
which they don't even have anymore, right? Like everybody walks away from Fury Road and you go, whoa, that was crazy, like. Yeah, that car was coming at me. That was a real car. And now you're like, that was CG. You're the same as every Marvel movie now. There's no danger. There's nothing here.
Hot Wheels, accelerators.
I would take a million new like Hot Wheels productions. The Hot Wheels, the games they're making now, the Racers Unleashed, those games are incredibly.
Wasn't Vin Diesel supposed to?
They're really good.
Hot Wheels.
Vin Diesel. I'm sure he was. I'm sure that's out there somewhere.
Yeah,
there is I thought there was a Hot Wheels movie coming out though. That Mattel announced for something.
Yes.
Is it really him? I'm gonna look that up. That would be.
But while we're doing that,
it's Vin Diesel that's working on it. But I know Mattel is working on like it's part of their toy universe or something. There's a
toy universe. Shut the hell up!
No,
shut
Mattel,
up.
Universe. No, they did. They announced a bunch of movies. No, they did. Spiraling.
No, I believe you guys. I'm just like, man, shut the fuck up. Like, be quiet, Mattel.
We've got somebody to shut up, okay? So
we
we're shoot the laser.
Start at the source.
We're gonna nuke someone. Start. Hooray for Shamu missile.
Oh, that's okay. So that's what it is. Vin's not attached to the Hot Wheels movie, but all like the director of the Fast and the Furious franchises, the writers of like the last 2 movies are, and then
So
like
Vin
2 of its
Diesel
producers.
will be part of it.
Yeah,
Okay.
he'll be there somewhere. He will be one of the racers.
And there will be like the family line too. Watch.
The
I
what?
live my life one loop-de-loop
Oh
at
yeah,
a
yeah.
time.
Don't
There you
forget
go,
when
guys.
you're
That'll be
buying
the line.
You're buying these cars for your family. That's what you're doing.
That'll be
let's
the
see.
line.
I live my life one loop-de-loop at a time.
If you do that, okay, now I'm in. Now I'm 100% in. I'm there opening night.
Oh,
I'm
that would
there
be great.
preview night.
Do you remember NASCAR racers where they had like all these tricked out stock cars that in no way have met any kind of like standardization of racing?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that would be great if they just did that. They were like, it's NASCAR, but it's nuts.
I would.
Like if the Hot Wheels
that's
movie,
the Speed Racer movie.
No, if the Hot Wheels
you're
movie was
right.
like, if it was like Speed Racers live action movie meets like the Pixar Cars movies.
Oh.
Now, if it was like that, I think we'd have something here. But I don't
Did you
think
know
it
that
was.
Speed Racer's getting big again? Like the Zoomers are resurrecting it as a cult classic now. That it's like peak
Please
cinema.
don't make another movie of Speed Racer where we don't need
No,
it.
it's perfect the way it is. Don't touch it. It's beautiful,
just
vibrant, and
re-release it now.
stupid. I love it.
It's so great. Let's see. Before we move on, before we pass on this movie, we have one question from where was he? Banana, I saw you. There we are. Are there any positives about the movie? And I think. What do you think, Jacob? What do you got for positives?
That it's a movie.
Yep.
I don't think that's a positive anymore. Yeah, it got filmed.
Like I said, the story wise, it's the thing. Like, it's very mediocre. So some of the best thing that I could say about it is that it's not outright terrible. Like, there's certainly a stretch in the film where it's actually like pretty good, where it's focusing kind of like I said, the whole crust of this entire story is Chris Hemsworth and Anna Taylor-Joy. So when you kind of get lost in that story, which like I said takes like an hour and like a half to actually like materialize, is actually a stretch of it where it's pretty good. It's just kind of directionless. So, like I said, there's definitely far worse movies out there, especially this year. But you know, it's just a movie that you're gonna watch. And like, here's the thing: I said this last night. And I think I agree with it. If you're one of these people who thought that Fury Road was like the greatest film that you ever seen in your entire life, then you're gonna love this movie because you have to pretend like Furiosa is like the most awesome superhero in the entire world, even though she's not. Secondly, if you're just like a normie who just wants to watch like a summer movie, you can watch this and just come away with like, it's pretty good. It is what it is. And if you're a hardcore Mad Max fan, you're probably going to hate this movie. So you're probably going to fall somewhere in between one of those three.
Yeah, I think my thoughts echo Jacob's pretty much to a T. What I would add is that I like the concept of the madman. You know, like you are a general and you have somebody under you and he goes like rogue. So you got to like launch a war or whatever. That is at the end of the movie. I think that's something that was really cool there. Like when they were doing the whole Jacob where it's like, he's blowing up Gastown. No, he thinks he wants you to go there. No, we have like all that stuff, that like war strategy. That was interesting. I think he could have done a lot there. And then I liked the Solid Snake guy. Like he's like the coolest character and I would have liked to see more of him. But then, yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
It's fine,
yeah,
I guess.
But we have good news too.
We have news about good movies. We have news about good movies
and good shows. It's Ghost in the Shell.
And good shows.
Well,
Take us away, Morgan. What do we got?
So, as I said earlier, on the 25th of May was the official 30th anniversary of the Ghost in the Shell manga, and they announced the new entry for the Ghost in the Shell anime. And what's interesting about this is up until this entry, it's been Production IG and primarily working on Ghost in the Shell. And this time it's Science Saru, as well as like a production committee Production IG is going to be on the production committee, but it's like a really big production committee of Bandai Namco, Science Saru, and Production IG were on this committee. But the thing I thought was very interesting about this is that it's going to be based on the Golden Globe Award nominated anime film, The Dog King, and the anime Dogmas with the Video Lab and The Color of My Heart. And then it's going to be entered into the Annecy International Anime Film Festival 2024 feature length competition.
Wow.
I don't think a Ghost in the Shell production that was initially announced, was automatically entered into something before.
No. This has been one of those.
No, that's big.
It's one of those babies of the studio. It's been like one of their. I don't know. I don't really know how you can't call it Cowboy Bebop because Bebop ran 2 seasons, season and a half.
Yeah,
something like that.
one season. Yeah, 26.
Ghost in the Shell has had like multiple iterations.
It's been going forever, and
right. So and it's a baby, I guess. Special.
Well, the first movie came out. Mamoru Oshii's first movie came out in 1995. And it was nominated for, I think it won multiple awards too. And then the second one, Innocence, it's the 20th anniversary for Innocence. That has had multiple awards. And something that G Kids is doing for it is they're doing a 4K restoration theatrical release for Innocence. It was released in Japan during the 20th, the actual 20th anniversary in February, but yeah, it's going to be released in June. And I sent the trailer over there. And I actually asked my connection at Production IG if there will be a physical release, if they know if that's going to be the case yet. And they said, not yet. I'm hoping. Since I put in my word with them and asked if that's maybe someday there will be a physical release, because the 4K restoration looks gorgeous. And as I said, I sent the trailers to Cider, so we'll take a look at it so you can see how gorgeous this is. But in New York, there's going to be a screening of both the first and the second films at a cultural event. God, what was it called? The where is it? I had it here in front of me. Oh my God.
Blanking.
Hold on. Here it is. It is the Japan Society. They're doing both the Ghost in the Shell and Ghost in the Shell 2. I think the first one is not 4K restoration, and it's just the Ghost in the Shell 2 one is 4K restoration. Okay.
That's odd. Isn't there? I thought they did 4K for the first one already. Why wouldn't they just show that?
Oh, maybe I'm just reading it wrong. But yeah, they're going to have, maybe it's both.
I have no idea. I'm just asking. Yeah. I'm just asking because, like, I'm pretty.
Yeah,
it wouldn't surprise me because companies do.
Yeah, I think it's both. I think they are doing a 4K restoration for both, and that's for one day. But this one is, if you are in New York, it is open to the public in New York, but it's only for one day.
Okay.
We're getting a lot more of these like anime pop-up things. They have the One Piece Cafe is going on in Vegas like right now, which is different. Not as cool as the one that was in Tokyo, but definitely still like we're getting the fact that we're getting all of this stuff nowadays is just let me tell you whippersnappers something. Okay, back in my day we had to get weirdly like Spanish dub VHSs of random anime that we didn't know what it was because that was the only way we were going to see it, and we had to get it from like the swap meet or like an older brother's friend who isn't always around all the time, but might bring a tape the next time he hangs out. So now you guys are getting all the 4K, like beautiful restorations, nice releases. You get to go watch these in theaters. Like you kids these days.
See some of this stuff in theaters at some point, but there was like with Pokemon and stuff, but they actually had theatrical runs. There was
that's what I mean.
Marketing. But right now it's really weird what's happening right now. The best example I can bring up is what's happening with Disney Star Plus with Disney Plus Star, because Disney Plus Star is everywhere but the US. The US, all of Disney Plus's anime is on Hulu, and it's just the weirdest thing why Disney. I still don't know why Disney's so reluctant.
That's a rights thing. That's a rights thing and a platform thing. It's less they don't want it here and more infrastructure, what exists, what doesn't.
Monopoly laws.
Yeah.
Yes, it's pretty much stuff like that.
But man, I'm guessing because people are mentioning about the 4K release for Ghost in the Shell, that at some point that physical release of the 4K restoration will come for Innocence.
I have to imagine it is. They might not have plans for it now, but I have to imagine that it's somewhere in the works. Like, why? To me, it just doesn't seem very economic for a studio to be like, let's 4K restore this thing, and then just not do anything with it. We'll
it's
show
sad
it
that
once
it's only
and then
3 nights only, because oh man, it breaks my heart that it's only for like, especially. And I talked to my Aniplex insider about this too. I've been talking to him about this for a long time, and we've talked about Disney and stuff like that as well. It's just so bizarre that now, when Hollywood has nothing, there's so much stuff coming out of Japan. You could have that AMC could be putting out in theaters right now. And hell, AMC actually released a Spy Family popcorn bucket when Code White was in theaters, which was very unusual.
In America?
Well, this is the problem.
They released a popcorn bucket. I was so surprised
genuinely
to see
didn't know
that.
Yeah.
And
well, this is the problem.
The lack of marketing. That's a huge problem.
Because they don't want it to succeed, because it's going to look bad on the industry if all of these things from other countries start becoming far more successful than the homegrown domestic American production. This is why there's so much resentment about Godzilla -1. This is why they've been trying all of these like Japanese movies that come out that get some kind of a limited release here in the States always get little to no marketing whatsoever. Like only the hardcore anime fans of these properties know about these things, and that you don't see like commercials for whether it's like Digimon or the one that Nerdigans had just mentioned a second ago.
Spy Family, yeah,
Spy Family. Like you don't see.
Godzilla didn't even get it.
They don't get marketing like Furiosa got marketing, or like Garfield or any other like big American corporation, because they don't want these outside studios that they don't control, that are from countries that don't have their influence, to essentially start overtaking them as far as production wise. That would be the absolute worst case scenario for Hollywood.
Well, the thing is that I'm really surprised. Well, Crunchyroll is one thing, because I know Perini said in his interview, and I've talked about multiple times, that Crunchyroll doesn't want to focus on theatrical stuff. They want to just focus on streaming. They don't want to bring in new people to the streaming service, because I don't know why. It's just so weird. It is, what Perini wants to do is weird. But like Sony, I'm so surprised by Sony that they don't want to do anything about it. It's the weirdest thing. You'd think that Sony would want to just like at least make some money off of the theatrical releases. I just don't get what's going on over there in regards to that. It's bizarre. I know you talk about Hollywood and stuff like that, but it's a little bit of a different. It's especially with something like Spy Family, which is extremely popular, or Haikyuu, which, by the way, Crunchyroll did stream on Twitch to promote the movie, so they did a little bit of marketing, but it's just so bizarre with what's happening here. It really is. And hell, even Digimon's getting a re-release in theaters. The original Digimon movie is getting a re-release in Japanese theaters. So I'm just like, and I even tweeted Fathom Events this. I'm like, Fathom Events, you want money, right? And I tweet G-Kids too. I'm like, you want money? Re-release the Digimon movie. Come on. Make it an event. Bank on nostalgia.
Well, here's
they just did the physical one of that through Discotech. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, the kicker about that is that the early 2000s aesthetic in just about every aspect has become popular again. The Zoomers kind of got it when they were like toddlers, so they have a weird shadow of it in their mind. And I think it's the bling, something to do with bling is the fashion trend they call it now. But it's just cybercore and K-Bug. That's all it is.
Just for reference, real quick, Spy Family, the movie that just came out not too long ago, has only made about $7 million less than Furiosa.
Marketing, or with very little marketing. That is impressive, and with a limited run too. I don't know how many days it was in the box office, to be exact, and how many theaters it was in. But just imagine if it had full-on marketing, including meal toys, like with because Spy Family could have had like a Pokemon kind of campaign going on, like meal toys at like McDonald's and all that. Because Spy Family is very, very family friendly, obviously.
Yeah.
You could have had
yeah,
the full shebang. It could be like it could have made $1 billion in theaters easily if it was marketed correctly. But
so this brings me into one of the things that we don't have up on the website, but I did want to bring up with you guys. Dragon Ball Daima fans, Dragon Ball fans are having
this has
rough
been talked
time.
about a lot on Twitter as well, and I will talk about something about this too. There's a debate about this. People are talking about how Dragon Ball Daima, it's been a problem from the very start, even before Toriyama died, that Dragon Ball Daima is another GT. There's a huge difference between that. Daima is actually Toriyama's passion project. Toriyama was not involved in GT at all, especially in terms of writing. He did some character designs, but that's it. But Daima is Toriyama's final project.
Right. And what I want to push though about this is
I know what you're talking about. But I just wanted to get that out, just a little disclaimer out of the way.
We don't have it covered up on the website yet, but the thing is about this is that Daima is the fans are very upset that One Piece has the Vegas Eye, they have a cafe, they have a lot of American advertising power.
Yeah.
Whereas Daima is Toriyama's, at the very least, if it's not his passion project that people think it is, I don't doubt you, Nerdigans. But let's say that the corporation is ruthless and they don't run it like that. Let's say they run it as his last project instead of his passion project. And so the Daima fans are very upset that, Dragon Ball fans in general, very upset that One Piece is sort of hogging this year's American influence for anime, I suppose, when Toriyama has passed away and it feels more honorable to focus on Daima in order to send off his memory in the year that he died, as opposed to having One Piece.
But we don't know anything about Daima. Like, we have one trailer. Nobody's talked about anything. What are we supposed to get hyped for? Like, we don't even know. Yeah, like that. I feel like that's a little bit of a conflation, because like I feel like once we get to where Daima's coming out, we'll get a lot of advertisement. Like, in my head, so when Jacob was talking about Jacob and Nerdigans were talking about like these movies don't get any advertising, blah blah blah, and Nerdigans was like only the big dogs get advertising. That reminded me that I think the only time I've seen big anime advertising anywhere outside of like maybe a billboard was in LA. There was a mall at the City Walk where the doors, like the elevator doors, they had the Dragon Ball superhero like graphic. And and when it would close, it would have Trunks and Goten like touching, and then it would like split them apart. Like, that was the only time I ever saw big marketing for them. And I mean, we had Dragon Ball fans. I'm one of you. I love you. But guys, come on. We have a straight up balloon in the Thanksgiving Day parade. Oh, I guess One Piece does now too. So disregard what I just said.
So there's the Power Rangers,
Sparkling Zero coming out too.
When?
I think
no. I meant when was the balloon that Cider just said? Because I was like, I haven't seen that one.
Oh, that was before 2020. That was like 2018 that they added the Red Ranger to the. Yeah.
I didn't even know. I didn't even know.
He hangs out with Spider-Man.
But here's the thing, though.
That's my Fox Kids crossover.
If I were a Toriyama fan, I would be more pissed that they aren't pushing Sandland more.
That's just it. Is that in the West, people just don't know Sandland. I don't even think it made its way into South America. It's really just Dragon Ball over here in the American.
Josh, where are you?
They've been pushing but like that was the thing though. They promised even before Toriyama died and Sandland was initially announced. That was the huge thing, was that they were going to push Sandland and like go to a different level. But this isn't Toei that is working on Sandland. That is a different company completely, though. And that's why if you're a Toriyama fan, you should be even more pissed that Sandland isn't getting advertised more by Bandai.
So here's where I disagree with that point, Nerdigans. It's like I hear everything about like, let's honor Toriyama. We want Toriyama to be remembered, so on and so forth. The problem is, if you're a company, you can't realistically operate yourself, whether you're an advertising firm or a production firm or whatever, on the off chance that any given day a giant celebrity or giant creator with something coming up might pass or get hurt. So then you have to reshuffle all of your things. Because if you do it for Toriyama, you're going to have to do it for any other creator who happens to pass away in the foreseeable future. That there's that factor, and the fact is, unfortunately, the timing is a bit poor, but the Sandland stuff, that all ended. That is out now. It's done. There's nothing really left to promote. The anime is done airing. The video game is already out. The movies have been out for a little while. I'm sure they'll promote the physical release when it comes out, but you can't really just go watch Sandland for nothing, because then people
I'm talking about even before it came out, like even up until the release, they didn't really promote it as much as I thought.
I disagree. I think they did a very big promotion job with it, because they had displays at every convention you wanted to go to. When I went to the Bandai Nationals for One Piece, right, that you had that's an event that's focused on their card games. So Dragon Ball, Digimon, Battle Spirits for all the 4 people who play that, and One Piece. But even outside the exhibit hall, like for the public to see, there was Sandland everywhere. I still have, like, here, I can show you. Like so at that convention, they were giving out like gift bags with like promo cards and lanyards and all that stuff. But in it, they had like, oh, check it out, the first like a volume of Dragon Ball. But on the other side, they had straight up Sandland, like in a big yellow thing, right? So like Sandland got a lot of love and attention, but the thing at the end of the day, like it is a limited series thing. There's not the history there for drag it. Yes, like I love Toriyama. He's the GOAT, but I also think like we need to be more understanding of how the world works, and that not everything can just bend to our whim at every single second.
But I will say this though. Toei's been doing that. This is a problem that Toei has had for a long time. If you are a Saint Seiya fan, you know this period that Toei has just not treated series very well in general. And Slam Dunk, I would say, is another one too. Because when the first Slam Dunk came to the US, barely any marketing. Super Dragon Ball, as you know, Spencer said, or Dragon, I keep wanting to say Super Dragon Ball Heroes, when it's Dragon Ball Super.
I know. The name was such a mistake, because I always want to do that too, Nerdigans.
Because I read the Super Dragon Ball Heroes manga.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's like that's
same with Dragon Ball Superhero, same thing. But I think that was more on Crunchyroll's part for that, and I think with first Slam Dunk, that was more so Kids. But at the same time, Toei could have still put the extra effort, because look at what Toei is mainly doing the stuff, I think, for One Piece marketing. If the American branch of Toei is doing more. For One Piece, right? Or is it someone else?
I have no specific idea. You would know more than me.
I'll have to double check, because if it is Toei that's doing it for Toei USA is doing it for One Piece, then that's really not fair for like anime like the first Slam Dunk that barely got anything, or Dragon Ball Superhero. But that's also kind of Crunchyroll's fault too, because they didn't really do much with it either. But Saint Seiya is just Toei in general. Saint Seiya, Toei just does not treat that property right.
Well, we do have breaking news on not treating properties right.
Great.
Just real quick before you go into this name, I have thought about like changing our breaking news theme into like the ear rape version of like the NFL thing, which just go burning up to the best.
We already destroyed Cider's ear. We already destroyed Cider's ears once. We didn't need to do that. We didn't need to do that now.
Yeah, so this one just broke a few minutes ago. Is now being passed around and confirmed that the budget for the Acolyte Disney Plus show is $180 million. So for the record, that's more than the entire Furiosa movie by at least $10 to $12 million. It's going to be one season, 8 episodes, and each episode is going to be 30 minutes long. This allegedly took 4 years to create.
What is timeline wise was be Lucasfilm, man? Like
Disney is just burning money. Like Disney is just absolutely like like I said, this is in a window. In a window. Compile this to what they spent on Captain America and Daredevil and Blade and all these other massive big budget disasters. They're just burning billions of dollars like it's absolutely nothing.
I just looked it up. The budget for Obi-Wan Kenobi was 90 million. So and that had 6 episodes. So they doubled the budget for this for 2 more episodes. This is going
with a bunch of actors that no one knows are completely unproven as draws whatsoever. There's no big star attached to this.
Well, there's one. There's Carrie Ann Moss. But even then, that's like stretching.
Would you call her a big star?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like that is stretching the hell out of the definition.
Even if she's your biggest star, I'm definitely not giving her damn near $200 million.
No, I'm right there with you. So,
but you don't have to. Wait. Do we know if George Lucas is even involved in this at all?
No.
Then why the fuck are you giving it this big a budget, and why are you even doing this before 100 years before the Phantom Menace? Like,
well, they were always going to do it before the Phantom Menace. This is one of their stupid High Republic era garbage things like that was always what was going to happen. But the reason, Nerdigans, that they're going so hard on this series is, and I've talked about this before, but like Disney is in a period where it is like the 4th quarter. If they don't make this play, if they don't get this first down, they are out of the game forever. Like, it's not just you lose, like it's done, right? They have had so many disasters in the past few years that everybody, no matter what branch of Disney is making something, everybody, even normies, have the same reaction of okay.
Yeah.
Whether it's Disney, Pixar, Star Wars, Marvel, nobody has hype anymore, and nobody trusts them to make anything worthwhile anymore. So right now they're standing on this precipice of, okay, we went out, we apologized, we recognize that we've screwed up. We need to, like, we're gonna do better now, or we're gonna do better, Senator. Now they're at that moment where it's like, okay, the next thing we release has to reignite at least some optimism in whatever franchise it is, or we are screwed. So that's why, like, Deadpool and Wolverine, they're going to be looking at that for a lot. That's a bad idea and I'll say why, but like, they'll be looking at that. They'll be looking at the performance of this. Like, that's just where they're at now. And so if these don't succeed, they know that nothing else is going to bring people back in. Like with Marvel, the problem with Marvel is, and I'm just like side noting it here because I brought it up, but like with Marvel, the reason it's not a successful strategy for them is they're going to go, okay, what's our next thing out that has to, this is our coming out showing after apologizing for everything. Deadpool 3, yes. But that is like not a specific Marvel production. That's got a lot of Ryan Reynolds. That's got a lot of like 20th Century Studios in its DNA. The real test for them is going to be Captain America: Brave New World, and that's not going to do anything. That is going to be a disaster. I can already promise you that. There's no hype around that movie. We had a full leak of the cast of that movie from McDonald's, including the revelation of a new Falcon and the confirmation of fucking Red Hulk. And nobody talked about it. Nobody cared.
Nope.
Like so that's why they go so hard right now, Nerdigans, is they're going, we need to put this is our Hail Mary. We're putting everything we have into this last play. If this doesn't get us that first down, we're out of the game. We're out of the season. We're done. Like, that's where they're at.
Way Home was supposed to be like, Marvel's apology or whatever.
Well, I say it specifically, Nerdigans, because last earnings season, like earlier, like in January or whatever, that's when like Bob Iger came out and was like, yeah, okay, we've screwed up. We've stretched ourselves too thin. We lost the plot. We're sorry. We got to get better about our content. So like, that was a formal apology. So now they're like, okay, we set that expectation. What do we do next? And none of this stuff is going to help them in the long run. Like this, who is excited for The Acolyte? It's a Leslie Headland series. Like, Here's two things that I just remembered. So obviously I've got a couple stories on the Acolyte in the works for the site. I guess today was a press day and there's a bunch of articles coming up across the board. In one of them, and I forget who it specifically is with, Leslie Headland specifically notes that she went out of her way to hire writers on the show who didn't know jack shit about Star Wars. Like, her example is, I asked a prospective writer, do you know who Han Solo is? And she said, he's the guy who walks around with the big furry dog, right? And I said, you're hired immediately. Like, that's what we're looking at here.
That's a joke. That's an SNL skit.
I know, you would think so, but that's literally how
Park
Headland...
episode.
And then you have Kennedy, Kathleen Kennedy is in that same piece going like, oh, this is when I hired Leslie Headland, I knew she had already worked on, or like I looked at her initial pitch and it was a Star Wars show. And I went, okay, you've given me a Star Wars show. Now go make me a Leslie Headland show. And now we have the show that's going to be all about family and drama in a galaxy far, far away. And it's just like,
just call it something else.
What the hell? Yeah, like, what is this? This isn't, you don't want to write Star Wars. You want to give Harvey Weinstein's former assistant just a big paycheck? I don't fucking know. But it's not to honor the fans or any of that garbage that you're throwing out at us.
This is like what? This is like Velma all over again, where it's just like a self-insert kind of thing. That's what you're telling me here.
Well, Leslie Headland's a lesbian. The Acolyte actress is probably, or is a lesbian. The character is probably going to be a lesbian. Like, they're not slick.
Iger's a lesbian.
Kevin Feige is thinking about transitioning. It's a whole new progressive era over there.
Well, he is transitioning his casting couch. I mean, Brie Larson's gone.
Jesus. Woo! Woo, we got spicy there. We don't know if she's gone. There's still Avengers Secret Wars in theaters, question marks.
I mean, hey, look, at the end of the day, Harvey Weinstein might be gone, but Olivia Wilde is still open for business, especially if you've seen her last couple of movies.
Yeah, pretty 100%. The legend never dies, if you will. Hey, you started this one. Nerdigans.
Well, Kevin Feige's casting couch just started this. Let's be real. That casting couch has caused the MCU to crash and burn.
I mean, you said it, not great. Me. I'm not touching that one.
Everything's great.
Oh, I thought you said everything's a rake. Like I could step on a rake no matter what I said. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. That's why I'm not touching that one. But yeah, everything's great. Star Wars is great. Mad Max is great. Aren't you guys just so excited? Blade. Oh, before I mean, clearly we're probably closing out here soon, but I know you guys mentioned this. You guys were talking about it in the Majors briefing room, the pre-show. I just wanted to mention, yes, Blade is a fucking disaster right now. It is going through its sixth or seventh rewrite. It should not be that hard to get a Blade movie right. Blade fights vampires. 3 words, done. Like, I don't know why they're having so much trouble with this. I mean, I do.
Wesley Snipes to do it, and people will be happy.
People would have been so happy with Wesley. I mean, people are still going to be stoked to see Mahershala. It's just like, at this point, what the hell are they doing with this movie? Like, look at it this way. Captain America, Brave New World. This Blade, these movies, the Marvels, right? Every major production, save again Deadpool, from Marvel lately, we've heard tell of, oh yeah, we had to rewrite this thing like 3 times, and it's like that is not a good sign of a healthy machine, if you will.
Put this into perspective here.
Avengers movie that was announced too, or something like that.
That's a rumor. We don't know if that's out yet. They haven't said anything about it yet. Unfortunately,
we have to put this into its complete and other perspective. So remember, this movie was initially announced that they were going to make this during Comic-Con 2019. Here we are, 5 years later. And we are no closer to this movie ever seeing the light of day than we were when, Mahershala Ali went on that stage for Comic-Con 2019.
5
That was
years.
Pre-COVID.
I have the perfect clip for this. Here we go. You ready? This is a blasphemy pass.
Yes,
Oh,
I
yes.
only hunt Blackulas.
Oh, so you only hunt African American vampires?
No, sometimes I hunt British vampires. They don't have African Americans in England.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, good point.
So I hunt Blackulas.
I was just trying to be...
Man, I specialize in hunting black vampires. I don't know what the PC name for that is.
Is that a mask?
Oh my God, I was...
I love the Venture Brothers. Like, just always, it parodies all of that stuff just like so perfectly. And like, that was very clearly Blade. I like the little...
But hey, look, at the end of the day...
Twilight.
Everything revolving around Disney is a disaster, but hey, at least we get Agatha, whatever they're calling it now this week, because they've changed the name 7 times in the last month. So,
if we are, all they said was, "Here's its title." We still don't have a date. Like, I don't.
yeah.
It is a disaster in those rooms right now. If I want to see what their like accounting turnover is like, because I feel like every accountant who walks into those offices just like cries and like gives up their license and goes and works at like a bodega.
Spencer, they apply the same hiring technique they apply to hiring their writers. Do you know anything about math? Yes, maybe. You're hired. I love your attitude.
You are exactly what we want for this. We want a non-Star Wars perspective on this Star Wars series. Can you
We want
give
a
that to us?
non-accountant's perspective on our accounting, okay?
Like, here's something I
Can
just
you bring
realized,
a fresh
right?
view to our book?
Yeah, can you bring a fresh view to our accounting? Can you diversify our accounting?
Reimagine our bookkeeping
Oh my
for modern
God.
audiences.
Can you reimagine our failing numbers for modern audiences to make it so that they like them? I just realized, like, this is a very big black pill, and I like this hurts.
Like, I'm sorry. Can I reimagine your job title after spending $200 million?
Can I reimagine the fact that you have a job title after this? Like, that woman who Leslie Headland went and was like, "Do you know Star Wars? Chewbacca's a dog. Yeah, you're hired." This, I just had this realization: when you hire those types of writers, once you get into the writers' room, like, if they don't have any affinity for this series, if they don't care, and they're just looking at this like a job, they don't care about like Star Wars. They're just gonna write like, okay, I don't know Star Wars, but I know 1980s teen comedy, or not even 1980s. They're not that cool. Like 2010, I know 13 Reasons Why or whatever. I'm gonna write that. And that's what they
with lightsabers.
Right. Like I just sort of got that realization of or consciously realized, 'cause I'm sure we've all understood it, but like when that's what happens when you hire the people who don't care. Like they won't ever even try to get in because they don't care. They have no attachment to like a franchise. It's not like, oh, or you want to come write a drama series about cowboys? Great. You can write for 1886, or you can write for True Detective, or you can write for Justified. It's like, yeah, they're bringing in people who have generic views of this stuff to make it more generic so that more generic audiences will buy their crap. If anybody is like, yeah, go ahead.
There's one more point that I just have to make. They really just like rolled back on basically everything we talk about here tonight. And I know this is talking about Agatha here, and it's like I'm thinking to myself, like we've been asked this over and over again. It's like, who are you guys making this stuff for? Like, who's the audience for any of these things? And it's quite literally the same thing with Furiosa. All the people who were marks for this movie, who worked themselves into a shoot, who thought that film was going to be a massive success, this Agatha TV show that they're still working on is going to be essentially a show that was only for people on Twitter who thought that the Agatha song that they crafted out of nowhere was so hilarious, and that, oh, Catherine Hahn is so funny. I can't wait to see her own show that's going to last several episodes. I'm going to love to watch it, and they're going to realize that when this thing finally comes out, no one actually cared about this character whatsoever.
I will give you an example right now before we close out of just how little people already like don't care about that character. So we talked about, or at least I complain about this all the time, movie synergy, right? When a movie comes out and a comic book or whatever will go, oh, we got to change something to make it more like the movie. Spider-Man got organic web shooters. Iron Man gets an armor that looks more like the MCU armor, so on and so forth, right? Like that stuff always happens. So Agatha was supposed to come out like earlier this year. It was already supposed to be out. Like, again, Marvel disaster. Earlier this year, Marvel made a giant push to make Agatha, the character in the comics, an actual character. Like, she exists, but she doesn't have a big role. She's not a major player. She's not, you wouldn't give her a TV series. Let's put it that way. So they had Agatha appearing in all these different books. She crossed over with Spider-Man, with Krakoa and X-Men, with Cap and Wolverine and Iron Man. They did an entire, this year's annual events for their entire line was an event centered on Agatha and the Darkhold. And it was a 9-issue annual crossover event with everybody. Moon Knight, Spider-Man, Avengers. Nobody has talked about it. Nobody cared about it. We are 4 or 5 months out from that event, and none of the current Marvel books even mention Agatha. They don't mention those events. Nobody gave a shit. Nobody cares about this character from the top to the bottom. It is a joke that long wore out its audience, its funniness. It wasn't even that funny to begin with. It was not that funny to begin with, unless you are a sad wine mom who really related to Jen's struggle in She-Hulk. Like, it's just, whoever greenlit that should be fired. Like, Feige, that's you. I know it's you. You need to be put in the stocks and let us throw mushy fruits at you. Yeah.
If only there was somebody above Feige who could just like walk in and be like, "Oh my God, we're losing money. What do we have? What are we working on right now that's going to be hot?" And they just like look at the slate of like the next like 5 years, be like, "Who greenlit all this crap?" And then everyone just turns around and like to Feige, like the Office fashion, and then he sinks into his seat.
Like to that point, that reminds me of this is an admitted rumor, but if it's true, like a W where W's are deserved. According to like insiders, Bob Iger straight up stepped in and went, "We are not doing a Eternals 2, Kevin." Like Kevin Feige was like, "Eternals 2, that's going to be it. Let's do this." And Iger went, "No, we're not doing that." Like I am putting my foot down, and
Iger was like R-Kill. He's like, "I'm fighting for my life out here."
that literally, he was like, "I know this movie is going to be a guaranteed bomb. I'm putting my foot down. I'm fighting for this company's life here." And that was like 4 months ago, and we just got like some rumors like last week that Feige is still trying to push for it, and Iger is still going no. And it's just like, Feige, maybe you need to hand the reins over to somebody else at this point. 25 films, 12 shows, you've clearly lost the plot. It's okay. Even Tony Gwynn had to retire eventually. Like, not all good things must come to an end, Feige, and your good run came to an end like 12 years ago. We are far past it. But yeah,
but something I do want to say, that I'm going to probably end up saying it every week, but man, Marvel might want to learn from what DC is doing, because it's crazy. I still can't believe it, but man, with every character trailer, it's really becoming a reality that an isekai anime is going to save DC. Seriously, if you have not seen the character trailers for Suicide Squad Isekai, you should. I mean, it's just amazing.
I think the general rule there is that we just need more investment. So like we need more investment from the West in Japanese creators, visions, production styles, and all that stuff. It's like, but the problem is, it's what Jacob said earlier, right? It's what Jacob said earlier, and we have confirmation on this from the Kung Fu Panda director, like the Kung Fu Panda 4 director. Hollywood is terrified of like Asian entertainment. Like they see it as mass competition. They don't want to go, "Oh, you guys did something right, let's learn from you," because that would mean them admitting defeat. So until that happens, we're going to get trickle out stuff, but this is them sort of going, "We can't ignore it any longer. We have to tap this market at least somewhat to stay relevant in the game." But I mean, to my previous point is like, if you guys want good, and I think I said this last week too, if you want good content with your favorite Western superheroes, you got to go look at the stuff that they produce with Japan. So, Deadpool Samurai, the manga, Batman Operation Joker, Superman Meshi, Justice Busters. If you want to go, I mean, the Suicide Squad anime that's coming out. If you want to go a little bit back, Marvel did a handful of anime productions that are actually pretty good. Like there's an Iron Man anime, a Blade anime, an X-Men anime that I actually am quite a fan of.
There's a few older Well, there's a few older Spider-Man manga. There's actually a new Spider-Man. I'm not talking about Spider-Man Octopus Girl. There's a newer Spider-Man.
But there's that one too.
Out too.
But there's also Spider-Man Octopus Girl, which is the only series that uses the superior octopus like idea, which is like the best idea Dan Slott had in his entire career. But anyway, sorry, yeah.
Furihashi's just a genius writer. Just go read Vigilantes and you'll see he knows how to write heroes and villains really, really well. But the other thing is I don't like Viz's localizations, but you're gonna have to deal with it. Is Viz is actually releasing some of Marvel's or Marvel manga, like Wolverine manga, and I think some of the older Spider-Man manga as well. I know they do Deadpool Samurai, and I can't remember the other Spider-Man ones they have, but I know they released it, I want to say like a year ago or something like that.
Fake Red?
Yeah, Fake Red is one of them. I know that. But there's they released a whole book of some of the classic Marvel manga, at least Marvel manga art that I know of. But yeah, there's a ton of Marvel manga.
There's the story by the Yu-Gi-Oh creator, God rest his soul, the Trick Reverse or whatever, where Iron Man and Spider-Man, like it's great. Like that's where all the good stuff is. So yeah, you're right. Like the isekai anime is probably going to be fun because they still know how to entertain over there, and they're allowed to
the ReZero, and we also did the Fluorite anime as well. They're writing it, and then you have the Hitman Reborn / Ron Kamonohashi creator doing the artwork, and people were like joking about about the Joker design, but man, the voice actor for him just really is just bringing it to life, and the animation just looks. Wit's doing a fantastic job, but man, the Deadshot
and you know what we get over here instead? We get the really awful Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League Joker DLC version.
Oh my god,
the super edgy one.
It's a huge difference, man.
It's
and then
really
Deadshot, they're like, oh my god, it's not the Killmonger hairstyle.
For who?
For Deadshot, they're like, oh my god, he didn't give him the Killmonger. We won. People are so happy about
He has a regular haircut. Yeah. No, it's like I said, you're only allowed to have two types of black guy characters. One is like you're allowed to have like Miles Morales, who's like sheepish and like very non-threatening, or you get edgy bad boy Killmonger, and every edgy bad boy has
it's Killmonger or Justice Smith. There is no in between.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, Justice Smith. Exactly. That's now I remember we did talk about it last week because I had the same reaction last time.
I can't wait to see Clayface's character trailer, because if you've seen Clayface's design so far, like from his human to his Clayface transformation, oh my god, it's so good. Amado knows the assignment. He knows.
Yeah, no, it's going to be good, and I definitely think it's going to be something to check out. We'll probably talk about it a whole bunch when it comes out on this show, right? Like
it's coming out in July.
You won't be able to be quiet about it. I know that. So we'll definitely talk about it more in the future.
Oh yeah, we'll probably talk about the reaction to it from both sides, because everyone's going to be watching it.
Everyone's going to have.
I do want to bring that. We should probably bring this up too. I don't know if we have time for it. Is my adventures with Superman, because that premiered.
I think we can hold on that one. That's a whole another talk, and we're already like
that will be for next week, and then we can compare that.
We can wait when it actually like releases and everything, and everything.
Yeah, because I think from what I've seen, Supergirl's supposed to be in it as well. I don't know if we want to save this for next week as well. But the lineup for hold on, but I do want to kind of mention this real quick because I don't know what you think. But the lineup for BTV came out today.
Don't know what that is, so I think we're gonna have
is like the new Cartoon Network. That's what it is.
Well, we'll save it because again, we're already running up on the 3-hour mark for our show.
All right, yeah. I just wanted
Nerdigan's trying to hold us hostage over here.
Trying to get these views because she's not getting them on our own channel. But that's why we have this segment right here. We're gonna let everybody obviously let you know what they got going on, and that way Nerdigans can direct you over to her channel. What were you gonna say?
No, I'm just gonna say like Cider's like slowly dying somewhere off screen right now. He's just like
I know. I feel bad for the guy. We'll get yeah. As always, guys, great show. I'll give my spiel at the end, but before we get out of here, let's see what everybody else has going on. Obviously, let us start with Jacob, as we tend to do.
Letting you guys know what I got coming up. I just got episode 101. Put it back up on YouTube. Of course, it was Paramount that tried to clip me.
Yeah, what was up with that? I saw that re-upload.
Yeah, Paramount tried to clip me for the South Park clip that we showed last night about the whole Lizzo segment. So we have to fix that one and put it back out there. So it's always Paramount that's doing shit like this. This is why their whole company is going under right now. But outside of that, I got the Bible Ends coming up, episode 45 this week. We'll be talking about Pride Month for the entire month, and I got a whole bunch of topics to talk about, from like Moloch worship to kind of this was it like trans indigenous group that kind of let the whole that whole movie. I still can't believe that, yet somehow Babes is still worse. But and then this week where we have a conversation about Sodom and Gomorrah and a whole bunch of other things. So it'll be a very, very interesting week that should get us in a lot of trouble. And then episode 102 of the Barroom Podcast will be on Tuesday. And then if Nerdigans actually manages to leave her house one of these days, maybe we can do a review about a Japanese film. So that's all I got coming up.
Perfecto. And yeah, as always, subscribe to all of his stuff. I watch it. It's my favorite stuff. And I'm genuinely excited to see what you do for the Pride Month stuff. I just want to learn more. Like it's down to
like I said. I know it comes off as like, oh, you're just gonna bash the gays. It's like, no, not really. I mean,
that's literally like I've said this to you before, and I'll say it to the crowd. Like, you are my favorite like religious discusser. That's not even like a term, but like I know it's not a term. I have no idea what I'm trying to say, but like I like listening to you talk about religion and like religious philosophy and stuff, because you aren't like that.
Because my perspective is that there's always an origin to everything that you see happening today. So let's actually talk about the origin of like why you're seeing the things that are happening in our world today. So
and I mean,
it's
like,
far more interesting.
Like, I admit, like you go through those history lessons, and there are times when I go like, oh snap! Like I had no idea. Like that's crazy. So whether you're religious or secular, everybody should go watch the Bible Lens. Like it's a good show. I highly recommend. Nerdigans, our lovely lady, what have you got going on, birthday girl?
Do you have a fan on in your room right now?
Besides of course watching my channel Nerdigans, where I cover manga and anime content every day. I did my article on Sakamoto Days, which is up on Bounding into Comics right now. There is an article we are working on in regards to Precure, and something we stumbled upon in this interview with the producer is apparently there was a controversy regarding gender theory and Precure, which is, for those of you that don't know, is kind of like Sailor Moon, but more on the Sentai side of the spectrum. So,
I call it like girl Power Rangers. That's how I put it.
Yeah, that is very true. But yeah, it's, oh God, it's still freaked out. Hopefully I am going to see Haikyuu this weekend. It just depends if my brother comes up to visit me or not, because he was going to take me for my birthday. So we'll see if I do see Haikyuu or not. But anyways, you could also follow me on Twitter, which is right there. And over there, I actually posted something, and I'll run it by Spencer. I found some very interesting things about like the UN going in on Japan again about workplace stuff and about how they're doing really bad things in anime. It's really stupid. The UN is just a freaking joke per usual. But other than that, you can catch me here every week with more awesomeness. So until then.
And of course, happy birthday. I don't even know where Zeno is. I can't believe we didn't see Zeno at all tonight.
Zeno was here. You said he was running around on my lap.
Was he? It must have been in like those moments when like I looked to the other screen, because like I haven't seen him.
Yeah,
tonight.
he was on my lap. Well, now he's on my PlayStation 4 looking at me funny. And
he's always over there. He's always getting on the PlayStation 4.
Well, yeah, he wants to knock over something because I'm not giving him treats. But he was meowing throughout the stream too.
Oh wow. Get him on. We could always use more guests.
He was on here, Mort.
No, I mean like get him a headset. Like give him a mic.
He was sitting on my lap and everything. I chat, you could tell him. Comments, you could tell him.
I believe. I'll take the cat L. But while I'm taking the cat L, I'll also take a minute to thank every single one of you for coming out tonight, for hanging out for this episode of the 01 stream here at Bounding Into Comics. As always, Wednesday nights are some of the best nights we have here. We all love hanging out with you, whether it's Jacob, Josh, Cider, Nerdigans, me. We all love spending our time with you, getting to talk with you guys. We couldn't do this if it weren't for your viewership, for your patronage of the site. So thank you guys, and I hope you guys keep coming back, whether it's Snakes or Hey It's Me in HD, Leslie, Eccentric Banana, DZ3, YouTube Me, all of you folks who are out there who stop by and hang out with us. We see you, we love you, we couldn't do this without you. If you want to see more of all of us here, you can always check out boundingintocomics.com, where we are putting up new stories every day. We've got a couple articles in the cooker that will probably go up tonight after the stream is done, so be on the lookout for that. As always, also check out our YouTube channel, where our good man Cider is killing it with his video uploads. He's doing a lot of content, covering some exclusive stories here on the channel, so check that out. Again, if it's got the Bounding name on it, we're all working together. There's all different things working here, so team effort. Always good content going on. Go check out Jacob's stuff. He's always got interesting shows. Again, 100+ episodes of the Barroom podcast now. Probably my favorite live stream. Go check it out. Go check out Nerdigans. All of her, obviously you guys know, if you want anime insight, that's the woman you go to. She has all. You think I know? She knows. She knows what's going on. As always, if you guys want to see us next week, we'll be back here, same bat time, same bat channel, for another episode of 01, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Everybody who was here tonight will be back. Hopefully, Josh will be here for more than 5 seconds, but we'll be back with the biggest news stories of the week. If you want to see me personally, you can always check out Twitter at Kabuto Writer Mav. If you want to see more of me live before next week's show, you can also check out my own YouTube channel, Studio Kabuto, where every Friday at 5 p.m. I host a live stream, The Good, the Mav, the Ugly, where I have host a casual conversation with you guys. We do some deep dives into some topics that might not get discussed around our sphere. So anime, tokusatsu, video games, comic books, deep dives on all that sort of fun stuff. If that's up your alley, come on and hang out. I'd love to have you. Last week was, I'm going to do a bit of a humble brag, but last week was my best episode. Got 180 views off of it, so that's really cool. I'm riding that high, but yeah, I think with that, obviously Cider is away from his desk right now, but he's here. Awesome. I was just going to say, he's the man. He's got all the, we can't do our videos without him. I sort of gave you a mini outro, Cider. I know you're not feeling the hottest. Do you want to add anything?
No.
Then with that, no, I think we will call it a night. Let everybody go get some rest, and we will see all of you fine folks next week.